What's going on, guys? Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everyone had a good day. Wherever you are out there in the world. Of course, I know there's not a lot of good happening these days, but I hope you, at least on a personal, individual level, had a good day. Uh, yeah, there's some weird things to talk about, not the least of which is Netflix potentially buying Warner Brothers, which is probably not going to be good for anybody that actually likes movies or physical media or film preservation or anything of the sort. But that's something we can kind of touch on in this live, as well as anything else that you guys want to talk about. Whatever's on your mind, go ahead and feel free to ask. I'll try to get to it if I can. As well, where is my... Hang on. Looking for something. Yeah, my push-up counter. All right, my dedication to you guys. One push-up for every Super Chat donation. All right. For every USD dollar donation, I will do a push-up for you guys. It was shoulder day, but I don't feel like I did enough. You know, sometimes you leave the gym and you feel satisfied, and then other times you do your entire workout, and when you're done, you still feel like you didn't do enough. I don't know if it's like some days I just have more energy than others, but I'm like, man, my workout kind of sucked today. But I don't know why, because I did everything that I wanted to do, and I did it at decent weight levels, but I don't know. I still felt disappointed in myself for some reason. So, yeah, so I'll continue to do push-ups tonight if you guys want to send in any support. Anyways, other than that, it is freezing cold here. I don't know where you guys live or what area of the world or what area of the U.S. if you're also where I am, but in the Northeast, it is bitterly cold now, and December has arrived with a vengeance, man. November wasn't that bad, and then as soon as December hit, it was just a wave of snow, and now it's just bitter cold, and I hate it, man. I hate it. Also, coincidentally, the room that I shoot videos in, where I'm sitting right now recording or streaming to you guys, is the coldest room in the house. And I'm getting issues from YouTube, probably because everything is kind of moving slow. Hopefully the stream continues to go. Hang on. There's like error message from YouTube. I'm getting a poor connection. Hang on. Hopefully that resolves itself. Hang on. Or I might have to end the stream a lot sooner than originally intended. I think it's doing all right. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, I guess. You guys let me know if I start to cut out. Anyways. Yeah, let me know if the stream starts to cut out, because it's saying the connection is really bad, and I don't know why. I have been having some issues lately with internet connection. I really need to probably switch my provider, to be honest. I don't know. I guess it's okay. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I wanted to talk about this idea of Netflix buying out Warner Brothers. If you guys have seen this, it's kind of a deal that's in place right now that's gonna go ahead and probably be done. There still is a chance that it won't go through, but it seems very unlikely at this point, because if it doesn't, then like it's just like the companies are both gonna probably lose a bunch of money at this point. But I think it's a very dangerous thing for Netflix to end up owning Warner Brothers and by extension HBO and HBO Max and all of that kind of stuff. And I know that I'm an old man screaming at a cloud most of the time, and I feel like the world that exists now is no longer a world that I understand or care to take part in. But things just keep getting worse and worse, man. It's already, I think that after the pandemic, we never really recovered as far as a lot of things. But when it comes to movies and theaters and the theater going experience and that sort of thing, it never really recovered. And there's definitely a lot of numbers to show that people just don't care about going out to theaters anymore. And like, there's a lot of different issues for that. Like, everybody's broke. That's one thing. The streaming window when movies appear on streaming services are insanely quick. So if you don't see something in theaters, it's usually on streaming within the next month or two. So, like, there's so many different reasons why, movie theaters are going downhill. But the thing that I think is dangerous about Netflix acquiring WB and HBO and all of that is that Netflix doesn't really give a shit about film in general. Like, to them, it is all statistics and numbers and algorithms and just keeping you engaged so that you're on their platform. And they also are getting closer and closer to gaining a huge monopoly on a lot of different things, and until the point where it's going to become Netflix is going to be the only source to consume this content, because they've already been talking about how he wants to even the CEO or whatever put out a statement and said that he wants to even shorten the window even more than it already is from the theatrical run to a movie's run on streaming, which is already incredibly short at this point. But there's many reasons for that from their perspective, and it's that they want all eyes to be on one source and to one location. So if you consolidate everything Warner Brothers, everything HBO, everything Netflix, everything all together, they want you to only have one source to consume the content, and that's going to be streaming. And they're probably going to increase the prices to a ridiculous degree in order to, siphon even more money off of you. But on top of that, they're going to probably slowly trickle down the releases into movie theaters to begin with by anything that would have been owned by that company. And Warner Brothers owns a ton of things, like a ridiculous amount of properties, and like smaller companies and smaller film studios and stuff like that. Like the bracket under Warner Brothers is gigantic. And so the reason why I think this is dangerous is because, one, it's going to eliminate more movies coming out into theaters because they're going to want things on their platform right away. And the other thing is that it's probably going to eliminate more physical media. And honestly, like if I had the money to do so, I would go and try to pick up as many movies for my collection that I don't have so far. So if you're a physical media collector, I think now is definitely the time to do that. Because even with Netflix's own original material, it's very rare that they put out physical media for their own stuff, because they want you to, because physical media is, in a way, it's a competitor to streaming. It's a competitor to Netflix. So even if it's their own shit, it's like they want people to be on the platform. They want people to be using Netflix as opposed to watching movies in other places, right? So they're not just competing with other streaming services. They're competing with the physical media market, and they're competing with movie theaters. So if they can eliminate those two things with all of the properties that they acquire, and then force everybody to go to just one location, the streaming service of Netflix or whatever they'll call the combination of everything. And then that's going to be your only resource to do so. So that'll be your only outlet besides just pirating, basically. And with that, it's terrible because many movies won't get physical media releases, and also Netflix can choose what to have on their platform at any point in time. You never own the movies that are on Netflix, you just own access to the service. So if they want to remove a movie for any reason, one, just because they don't want it on there, so you're just shit out of luck. Two, maybe they find the movie to be like offensive or something and they don't want it on there because it represents them. Or, maybe they take it off to kind of like enhance the anticipation for when it'll come back, right? So kind of like keep you lingering on the platform because eventually maybe someday they'll put it back on there. And I just think that it's going to be a terrible, terrible thing that happens. And if these giant corporations keep consuming everything, like Disney consumes everything under the sun, if we have this happen and this huge merger happen, that's going to be another one. And in like 10 to 20 years, we're only going to have like 3 to 5 companies that own all of the media, all of the entertainment in existence, right? And we're going to be forced to do things their way, and there won't be enough competition. There won't be enough other sources out there to get it, to even get them to sway a little bit on what they decide to do, So to me, I think that this is just a very, very dangerous deal that's going to go down for anybody that likes this kind of stuff. And also, you know, a lot of these services have already gone through movies and like taken out things and re-edited them or removed scenes from movies that, you know, came out decades ago that might not align with like modern day sensibilities and stuff. And so like the preservation of art and the preservation of film is going to get harder and harder to come by. And you know, so like I said, like, so if you have movies that you love, you know, I would say if you have the means to do so, definitely pick them up on physical media now, because who knows what's going to happen in the next like 5 to 10 years, man. Everything owned by Warner Brothers might stop print, you know, completely when it comes to physical media, because Netflix is just going to be like, no, if you want to watch it, get Netflix. Because they don't care about film preservation, you know, they just care about the statistics and the ratings that they get. Or I probably don't call it ratings when it comes to, I'm an old man, so that's how I see it. Probably don't call it ratings when it comes to streaming services, but you know, they just care about the numbers coming in, the people on the platform, the binge watching, and it's just, I don't know, it's a sad thing to see happen, and I don't know if anybody cares about it, but I care about it, so I figured I would mention it. Don't have a problem with Netflix buying Warner Brothers. I mean, hey, everyone's going to feel differently about it, you know, and, you know, we'll see what happens over time. But I have seen just a lot of comments from the people in charge that are buying it that just don't seem to align with anything that, like, the values, my values don't of movies and film preservation don't seem to align with theirs. And so, I don't know, doesn't seem like a good idea for me. Yeah, they pump out films that no one's heard of, like Nobody's Business. That's why I see. I think it's got to be some kind of like, I don't know, some kind of money laundering scheme or something. Because how many Oh yeah, that's the other side of it too. Because like, how many Netflix movies are actually good? You know, like there's some, like there are some, and they've struck deals with particular directors like David Fincher and Guillermo del Toro now. Have made movies on Netflix, and you know they've turned out well, but like, is that going to be the new norm? Like as a one-off, you know, you know, getting like The Irishman or something, or a one-off getting Del Toro's Frankenstein, that's fine. But is that now going to be the norm, where it's just going to be a streaming movie and that's all you get? You don't get a theatrical run whatsoever. I don't know. I like the movie theater experience, man, because, I mean, not only is it like a collective endeavor where you all get to, you know, as somebody that doesn't like being around people and doesn't like crowds, movie theaters have always been different for me in that regard. Like, I've always really enjoyed the experience, as long as no one's being an asshole. That's like a whole other thing. People that actually know how to conduct themselves in a movie theater, like a grown adult. But if you can, I think the experience can be great. And it's also like one of the only places where you get to like have your full attention on a piece of art and put your phone away, and you don't have all of the other distractions in the world. Like, listen, I like watching movies at home, don't get me wrong, but you have so many more opportunities to not pay attention, right? You got your phone out, you got other things going on in the room, you might have your computer next to you. Like, there's so many different things to distract you. And a cool thing about the movie theater is like, it's the one time you get to just ignore the world for 2 hours and just sit in a dark room and just experience, hopefully, a good story, you know? And it's, I don't know, I think it's a special thing. I got a super chat. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Why did Tarantino rage over Paul Dano and not this? I wonder a lot about the things Tarantino decides to rant and rave about. He has said a lot of ridiculous things over the years, and I definitely can't justify all of it. I'm a fan of Tarantino when it comes to his films, and you know, I do like a lot of interviews with him that he's had over the years, but he does tend to say some really wild, wacky, and stupid stuff at times. And the comments about Paul Dano just seems so out of pocket. Like it was like so specific and targeted. It really felt like Paul Dano must have done something to him or something in the past. Cause like, what is going on? Like what are the actual, let me try to pull up his actual quote. because it is quite ridiculous. Like, it would be one thing to say that he didn't like his performance in the movie, because that's fair, right? That's valid. But everything felt like a personal attack against Dano here. What does he say? Hang on. Yeah, he calls him weak sauce, which is kind of funny. Weak sauce. Let's see. The flaw, he's talking about the movie There Will Be Blood. The flaw is Paul Dano. Obviously, it's supposed to be a two-hander, and it's also so drastically obvious that it's not a two-hander. He is weak sauce, man. He's a weak something. He's a weak sister? What? I don't think this is the full quote. Austin Butler would have been better in the role. He's a weak, uninteresting guy. And then he says, I don't know. I don't think I have the right quote. This website is terrible. Oh, yeah, he says this. He says, I'm not saying he's giving a terrible performance. I'm saying he's giving a non-entity performance. I don't care for him. I don't care for Owen Wilson. Don't care for Matthew Lillard. Where's the part where he says he's the weakest actor in... I don't know. This isn't the stupid website, man. I hate the internet, man. Just pull up the... What is the actual quote? Here we go. Yeah, he's the weak sister. Austin Butler would have been wonderful in that role. He's such a weak, uninteresting guy. He's the weakest fucking actor in SAG. Damn. I mean, it just sounds like very specific. It sounds like he's really calling out Paul Dano for like no reason. I mean, they've never worked together. They've never had an interaction. I mean, like I said, it's okay if you don't like his performance in the movie, right? Like, you could say that. You could say, like, I don't think he gave a strong performance, right? Like, I think he kind of sucked in this movie. But to say, like, he's the weakest actor in SAG, which I'm sure that's not true, because I'm sure if you go down the list of the actors involved, there's probably way worse ones. But, man, just, like, so uncalled for, so out of pocket for no reason. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be really funny, though, if he's saying this and then, like, all of a sudden Paul Dano is casted in the next Tarantino movie. Like, like... What if it's all like a setup? You know what I mean? That'd be funny. But it doesn't seem like it is. And he said, you know, he's saying the same thing about Owen Wilson and Matthew Lillard, which Matthew Lillard is great, by the way. He's great in so many movies. Tarantino must have never seen SLC Punk, which is a wonderful performance from Matthew Lillard. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know why he just all of a sudden decided to target Paul Dano. And at the worst possible time, too, because he has Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair, the full version coming out this weekend. So you really want to talk shit about another, you know, one of your peers, like right at the exact moment that you're releasing something in theaters? I don't know. It just seems like a bad idea. But as I said, I think Tarantino has said a lot of dumb things over the years. So this is just going to be one of many. I still think he's a great filmmaker, you know. I still love his movies, but yeah. But he's said a lot of good things too over the years, but this one is just like, what is the point? What is the point of attacking Paul Dano of all people? I like Paul Dano, you know. I like him all right. I liked him in there's a movie called Swiss Army Man where he's best friends with a dead body played by Daniel Radcliffe. That was a good movie. Anyways, I'm gonna do some push-ups for you. So thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Right now, it's only saying, I don't think it's given out. YouTube is being weird. Like, it's not giving YouTube usernames. It's just giving me. It says NHLCBJ. So that's all it tells me. So thank you, man. I appreciate it. Let me do some push-ups for you. 2 push-ups for you, my man. Yeah. And they are real push-ups, by the way. Chest to the floor. Agree that there might be a downfall in physical media for owning said movie. If something is popular, they will make merch up the ass, though. That is, I mean, you're right, but that's also kind of part of the problem, though, because they really only care about, like, it seems like they put more of their focus into, like, algorithm-based content, right? Like, so it's not going to really be about the filmmaker. It's not going to be about the artist. It's not going to be about the individual story. It's not going to be about that. It's going to be more of like just what becomes popular. It's going to become what has the most hits, what has the most views, what has the most what. It's like every single thing in the world now is just turning into an algorithm-based hellscape is what it seems like. And yeah, like sure, like something like Stranger Things that's super popular, you know, that's going to have a ton of merch and probably be lucky enough to get physical media releases. But what if somebody releases a film, you know, that means a lot to them, that they worked really hard on, that has a lower budget and it doesn't have this main wide stream appeal? Well, Netflix is just going to probably tuck that into the back of the algorithm. Like, let's not recommend that to people because we want to only push up the things that are making, it's just like YouTube. It's just like YouTube. It's like we only want to push up the things that are making us money. So it doesn't matter if it's how, you know, good it may be or how hard somebody worked on it or giving everything a fair shot. It's all about what makes us the most money. And those are the things that they're going to push. And those are the things that they're going to recommend. So like, you know, if something does kind of break the mold and become super popular, they definitely will probably make more physical media of it and they'll make merchandise of it. But for every one franchise or individual movie or TV show that hits that level, you know, there's going to be hundreds that don't, that get suppressed down, that nobody's even ever going to see. And also like older movies too. Like that's my thing mostly, is when it comes to older movies, because without physical media, you know, we don't really have a good way to preserve them, to still have them, to be able to watch them. And, you know, in this new world that we're in, you know, there's so many people, there's so many younger people, and I'm not saying everybody, you know, obviously, but there's so many younger people that have like zero interest in anything that was made before like 1980. Like they just have no desire whatsoever to check out anything through film history, or movies that are in black and white, or movies that came out in the 30s, or movies that came out in the 50s or 60s, early science fiction stuff, you know, early like Twilight Zone, and all of that kind of stuff. Like it's not on, like people don't see it because we don't have cable anymore. So it's not just on TV. So you don't just stumble upon older things. You have to actively choose them. Algorithm-based media content is not going to give you something like that because it's going to try to push all the things that are popular. So older movies and films are going to get buried in, you know, an avalanche of the algorithm. And unless you specifically search them out, you're not going to be able to find them. But people aren't even going to know what they are to search them out because they're never even going to have a chance to realize they exist. And a lot of people don't even care that they exist. So it's like, you know, losing video stores was one thing, because that was a place where you could always go and just kind of like wander the aisles and find older movies and cool things from the past, you know. And then with streaming services, it's like some of them have sections for that, but normally you're never going to see it. I even like checked, I have HBO Max, and like I tried to go and search like some of the oldest movies I could find on there. And they do have some. They definitely do have some. But they are so buried. They are just so ridiculously buried. And a lot of people don't care to look for them in the first place. So, yeah, I don't know. I forgot what I was responding to. I forgot what the original point was. It's just, I don't know. I think things have just changed in a way where it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. It just looks like everything that I fear is going to get worse and worse, whether it comes to this kind of monopoly of media, or when it comes to AI taking over the world, or taking over, you know, the ambitions that artists have, because it can be made quicker, more effectively, create content based on algorithms and what's trending and what's popular, rather than giving somebody who has a story to tell that actually means something to them a chance to actually tell that story. If you can get AI up to the point where it can just write a movie in 5 seconds, you know, or even just create an entire movie. You know, and right now it still looks shitty, and most people are dismissive of it. But I think that in the long run, I think AI probably wins. You know, like regardless of how much I hate it and how much I think it's a terrible thing that's gonna destroy the arts, I think that it's kind of already won, because I think most people don't care. Most people will just want to consume it. If they don't care about the creation of it, you know, like if the product is there and it's entertaining and it's fun to look at and it's like jangling keys in front of a baby, which is what I think AI is basically is when it comes to creating art. People are just going to do it. They're just going to see the jangling keys and just be like, yeah, like they're not going to care that it came from an algorithm based, you know, mechanic that somebody typed into a computer to create that movie. That, you know, they had no passion for whatsoever, that they made no choices about. They just said, hey, what's popular right now? Make a 90-minute movie that includes this, and this, and have this character arc happen. And then AI will make it, and they'll make it into a movie, and, you know, and throw it on Netflix because there won't be any theaters anymore. And people will put it on, and nobody will even pay attention to it anyways, because we have so many distractions and we don't care, and movies are just disposable now. And, you know, then it'll do numbers and they'll be like, hey, yeah, let's make more of that. And then we can save more money because we don't have to hire people to write scripts, and we don't have to hire people to make the movie, and we don't have to hire voice actors. Amazon already did that. And yeah, they're getting a lot of backlash now, but like, I don't know. I think in the long run, AI is probably just going to win. Is this the longest your beard has ever been? Have you come close to the Master Roshi status in the past? I don't think this is the longest it's ever been, but it's the longest it's been in probably like 2 or 3 years. No, not Master Roshi status, because if I let it get too long, it doesn't really grow down like an old, you know, Asian man beard. Instead, it's like it just kind of like poofs out. I get more of like I look more like that guy from the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer animation, Cornelius. You know, that guy. That's what my beard looks like when it grows out. So I have to maintain it to some degree. I'm also trying to, you know, embrace my inner Kratos. You know, get a good Kratos cosplay going on. Got my impression down. Boy. You know, working on it, so. I bet you can do 50 no problem. 50 push-ups? Well, I probably can, but the only way you'll find out is with a $50 donation. And then I will do 50 push-ups. You're going to see the re-release of Kill Bill. Well, you were in luck. I actually did, and I posted my review of it today. And it's not really a review so much as it's explaining as many differences as I could find between Volume 1 and Volume 2 and the whole Bloody Affair cut. So I uploaded that a couple hours ago. So go check that out, and I go into detail about like as many differences as I could find. There's actually more than I thought there would be. But that was a fun experience. A couple people showed up in my theater, but at first I was the only one in there. And yeah, I just sat and chilled and watched Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 together for 4.5 hours, because that's my idea of a good time. Did you know that Monster is coming to Blu-ray next year? I knew it was getting a release, but I didn't know the date. But that is awesome. I will probably pick that up when it comes out, if it's not crazy expensive. Sometimes when anime gets released on physical media, I want to grab it, but it's just so expensive. Like Vinland Saga, I have Vinland Saga Season 1 on Blu-ray. They released Season 2 in 2 parts, like half the season and then the second half of the season. I think like 12 episodes on each. And each one is like $60, which is so ridiculous. Like $60 for the entire season is also ridiculous. Okay. But then like $60 for like splitting season 2 into part 1 and part 2, and then having it be that expensive is just, I don't know. I just can't justify it. I want it, but I just can't. I'm not going to drop that kind of cash on half a season. That is ridiculous. I do not have that to give. But for the most part, I try to add to the collection when I can. Yeah, rest in peace, Shang Tsung, Kerry Tagawa. Yeah, the actor that played Shang Tsung in the 90s Mortal Kombat movie has passed away, man. Rest in peace to him. He will always be, in my heart, the definitive Shang Tsung. And I think that's true for a lot of people. Even for the creators of the Mortal Kombat games. I mean, how many games that came out post the Mortal Kombat movie were there homages and references to his version of Shang Tsung? I even realized in Mortal Kombat 1, like the most recent game, when you fight Shang Tsung at the end, the music that plays in the background is like a variation of not the Mortal Kombat theme, but the music that plays in the first movie when Liu Kang fights Shang Tsung. So it's like that movie has had a significant impact all these years later, even now. And his performance, I think, is one of the reasons why. I mean, what does anybody quote from that movie? Like, your soul is mine, you know? When I was a kid, I used to have this inside joke with my dad when he would come pick me up from school, right before like a summer break or right before like Christmas break or something. Whenever I would get a significant break from school, me and my dad would be like, "It has begun," saying his quote from Mortal Kombat. So yeah, that's one of my favorite movies of all time, man. And I have no shame in that whatsoever. I love that movie. Yeah, I hate how people act like older TV, unless it's pop culture relevant, is treated like they don't exist. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. That is the trend I've noticed over the past like decade or so, is how reluctant younger people are to get into older media, which that was not the case with my generation or any generation above mine. Because, and I know, and I've boiled it down to believing the reason is from shifting from television to streaming. That's why I think that is the case. Because with television, you didn't have control over what was playing. So you would surf through the channels and find something to watch. And a lot of times they would be playing older TV shows and older movies. And that's how you discovered them. You'd be sitting in your room at like 11 p.m. at night, and you're looking for something to watch. And then all of a sudden you flip on a channel. Like, for example, one night, I think I was like 13. I'm flipping through the channels, and this isn't really an older, I mean, it's older, but it's not like, it's from the 90s. But I flipped on Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas without knowing what it was. And it was literally the scene, like right in the beginning of the movie, where Johnny Depp's like, "We can't stop here. It's backcountry," and I'm watching it. I'm just like, I have no idea what the hell this movie is, right? And then I watch it a little bit further, and then all of a sudden there's like this giant dinosaur orgy in the middle of Las Vegas. And I'm just like, what the hell am I watching? Now, if I was just going through a streaming service and I saw Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, would I bother to click on it? Probably not. If I was that age, like, I wouldn't know what it is. I'm like, what is this movie? The cover, the poster art isn't really that exciting. Yeah, whatever. But if I'm just flipping through the channels and all of a sudden I flip on a scene like that, where some guy is going through this massive drug trip in the middle of Vegas and seeing dinosaurs fuck each other, I'm like, all right, this is the kind of movie I need to watch. And I feel like the younger generation doesn't have that experience. They don't have the experience of just discovering things. It's like, again, everything is algorithm based. So everything that you see is pushed to you based upon what you've watched or what's popular. It's like, what's making Netflix the most money? That's what we're going to push to the top. So it's not like you just all of a sudden, discover something bizarre that sparks your curiosity that makes you seek it out and want to watch it. And also the way that things are filmed. So I don't know anybody in my own personal life that has said this, but I've heard other people say this about like when their kids see movies that are older or see movies from their generation. Like if I have a friend that tries to show their kid a movie from the past, they have a disconnect with movies that are shot on film, kind of in a way that I guess my generation has a disconnect a little bit with movies that are very digitized, where, if it just has that kind of film grain look to it, they immediately think that it is old and they just don't want to watch it. Like there's something about the way that film looks that is not resonating or registering with younger people, like kids in particular right now, because they're so used to seeing everything in, high def with digital cameras all day long, and they watch YouTube as opposed to watching, movies or shows. And so when they see something shot on film, there's like this kind of like, ugh, they get the ick from it, right? Which is crazy to me because film looks so fucking good, right? But like, it's just not what they see. So they have an immediate disconnect from it. So it's like, it's just kind of a weird thing for me to wrap my head around, that would be something that would cause somebody not to want to watch something. Like, not just the fact that it's in black and white, right? But like, just the look of film in general would be a disincentive to for somebody to watch something. Is like, I can't, like, my brain can't process it. Like, I can't understand how that would be something that like turns you off from seeing something. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. But apparently it's a thing, and it's like more common than you realize. Yo, thank you, Hitman. Appreciate it, man. Thank you, man. Good to see you in the chat. Thank you for the heart, brother. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. And I will give you some push-ups, my friend. 5 push-ups for you. Thank you. And a return heart. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, bro. Love going back to the classics. Just watched Total Recall a couple nights ago. It was a good time. Yeah, man. I love Total Recall. I really debate where I rank that in like my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Like, obviously, like T2 and Predator are the top 2, right? But then after that, I always kind of, I think like Total Recall is probably my number 3. Then there's the original Terminator, but it's like they can kind of go back and forth. If Berserk got a Chainsaw Man level adaptation, I mean, that'd be dope. That'd be dope. Is there a film or TV series you'd be ashamed to admit that you have a love-hate relationship with? I don't think so. Not really. I can't think of one that I would be like ashamed. I mean, I guess like they're not on anymore, but I guess maybe like certain reality shows back in the day. Like I used to watch Hogan Knows Best. I loved Hogan Knows Best, and like Room Raiders and The Next Bus and like all those VH1 like reality dating shows back in the day. Like that was kind of the brain rot of that era, but I don't know, I got a kick out of it, I guess. So like that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't watch that anymore because it doesn't exist, and if it does, I don't know about it. But I used to, yeah, all like the VH1 reality shows I used to watch, like the Osbournes, Hogan Knows Best, Room Raiders. I know there was more. There was like there was The Next Bus, and then what else was there? There was like there was another dating show. Was it like Date My Mom or something, or Date My Daughter? I can't remember what it was. I watched all that shit back in the day. So yeah, that would definitely be my brain rot from the early mid 2000s. Nobody cares about me. That's not true, buddy. You should keep. Are you keeping up with Stranger Things? Any thoughts about season 5 so far? I watched a couple episodes of season 5. I'll be honest, I'm not really digging it. Well, first of all, the amount that I don't remember from Stranger Things is crazy because I have seen every season, but the problem is I only watch the show when the new episodes come out. I've never gone back and rewatched it. So there are so many things going on that I am struggling to remember. I really wanted to find a good recap video that just goes over everything, but I don't know. I couldn't find one that I wanted to watch, I guess. So I did start season 5, but I'm not loving it because I feel like right now, I think the show has just run its course, which is fine that this is the final season. And there's nothing about season 5 so far that I hate. I think I watched 3 episodes, so I got one more to watch. But there's something about all of the entire cast being on board with everything that's going on. And there was something, I don't know how to explain what I'm thinking. There was something more special about the show, I think, when it was more of a mystery. When the Upside Down was more of a mystery, where it wasn't explored as much, where not every character knew about everything that was happening, and they weren't all kind of like on board as a team, and they kind of had different storylines going on at the same time, and it was like about this weird event that was happening in this town with characters that kind of had like a crossover, relationships with one another. Like, they were all kind of connected in their own way, but it was all kind of doing their own thing. Obviously, the novelty of like the main cast being kids has worn off because even though they're still playing teenagers, all the actors are in their early to mid 20s now, so it doesn't have the same effect as it does earlier. So basically what it's boiling down to for me is like, I feel like it's lost part of its soul. I feel like it kind of lost what made it special. And now we're just sort of seeing like the aftermath. Like we're just kind of like it feels like getting to the end is like a means to an end. It's just like, okay, let's get this over with. Like that's kind of what the season feels like to me. It's kind of feels like, all right, let's just get it over with. That's the vibe I'm getting from the show right now. So, also there's just too many characters, I feel like we need to kill some of these characters off, man. I don't know who exactly. Anybody except Hopper. Anybody else can die. He'll probably be the one that dies. But they've done his fake out death like what, twice now? Anyways. I don't know how people can watch new anime. It depends. A lot of it is not for me. There's some good stuff out there, but a lot of it I just don't really connect to anymore. I feel like the film grain makes it look comfortable and cozy. Yeah, I think so too. I think that it makes the image look a little deeper. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes it feel like it's more tangible, I guess. I'm fine with digital. Like I'm not against digital, and there's a lot of good stuff in digital, but I think it all comes down to how you shoot it, right? And I think that a lot of times digital just helps you get away with things that maybe when you're shooting on film, you would take your time and make it a little bit more perfect because you didn't have as much space to kind of fuck it up, So all right. So yeah. So I see a lot of like spam in the chat from Corey, and I see people mentioning it, and I have seen this in the chat before. Normally, I wouldn't say anything, because I just feel like it is what it is. But I feel like every time that you're in here, you say that I'm ignoring you like over and over again. But I see what I basically do is I go down the chat and I try to answer everything in order to the best of my ability. When I'm answering a question, I'm looking at the camera so that I can direct the audience. And also, I'm not reading the chat while I'm speaking because I don't want to distract myself. Because if you're trying to read the chat and talk at the same time, maybe some people can do it, but I can't. Like, my brain gets all scrambled. So what I do is I look over and I grab the question that is the highest up on the chat that I can find. Well, super chats come first. And if there's no super chats on the screen, I go over to the chat and I go to the highest thing that I can find and I answer that question. I answer it to the best of my ability to the camera. And when I'm done, I return to look at the chat and I answer the question that I see at the top of the chat. So if I'm skipping your question or missing it, it's not by any sort of personal intent of me skipping the question. It's literally just the process of me trying to look at the chat and then answer the question, because there's just, I can't like read everything at the same time that I'm speaking, because my brain just I can't process two things happening at the same time. So if the question comes in while I'm answering it and then it goes up past the part of the screen that I can see, then I'm not going to see it, right? So just send it again. You know, you don't need to spam the chat, just send it again. But then also, I just noticed, like, you always say that I'm ignoring you. I'm not ignoring you intentionally. I'm not ignoring you from any kind of like, negative intent. It's just the process of me doing it. I miss questions along the way, so just ask the question again in like 5 minutes, and then I'll probably see it and I'll probably answer it. So it's not anything like personal against anybody if I miss a question. And then also, like, I'm not necessarily like answering every single thing, in order. It's just a matter of like what I see. So there's no like personal reason or anything like that. So like, I don't know, man. So just chill. I'll get to it. It's cool, man. Don't worry about it, Why did Bulma leave Yamcha for Vegeta? So that's the question that you wanted to ask. Why did Bulma leave Yamcha for Vegeta? Well, I mean, according to Toriyama, Yamcha was not necessarily the most faithful of guys. And also, from a writing standpoint, he needed Trunks to be born. He needed Trunks to come back in time. So he needed Bulma to hook up with somebody that was a Saiyan so that he could have another Super Saiyan. Yamcha wasn't going to provide that Super Saiyan DNA. So, the choice was made. I'm sure it wasn't his intent from the beginning, right? But then once he realized, hey, I need some more Super Saiyans in here. Well, Bulma has an available womb, but she's dating the wrong guy, so I need to have her date somebody else. That's probably the reason. But I still love Yamcha. Hogan Knows Best was an awesome show. I know, man. I know those shows were so cheesy and corny back in the day, but like there was something about that era of like reality TV shows of like the Osbournes and Hogan Knows Best and all that kind of stuff. That I don't know. It was just like I said, I think it was the brain rot of that era. But we had better brain rot, Do you remember the Legend of the Hidden Temple show? Absolutely. That show would piss me off because these kids couldn't figure out a 3-piece puzzle. It's like, come on, man. Just put the monkey together. Like, it's not that hard. Yeah, and it would also give me the creeps too, because of the dudes that would jump out and grab you. As a little kid watching that, you're thinking like, oh my God, like, what the hell? Yeah, they drug it out way too long. Haven't watched since season 2. They did, definitely. I think that if Stranger Things was just one season, like if it was just a one season event and it stayed kind of in that like nice pocket of time, because back in when first season came out in like 2015, 16, everybody loved Stranger Things, right? Like it was a phenomenon. It really was. And I think it's one of the only Netflix shows that really went above and beyond like that. Like there's other shows they've had that have done well, but not to the level of Stranger Things. And I think that it did so well that they had to try to continue it, but it got harder and harder because, these kids kept growing up, and the reason why season 1 was so endearing is because it was about a group of kids. It was about a group of friends, you know? And it's kind of hard to maintain that as they grow up. And I tend to get less interested with their like more like older problems as opposed to them being kids, you know? And, you know, they go off and do other things and other movies and stuff. And also like the whole new model of making television shows is not to keep a consistent, you know, yearly season release. It's just kind of like they'll get to it when they get to it. Brought back a nostalgic memory of the Hulk Hogan wrestling Dow commercial. Yeah, man. And very few people remember that after Hogan Knows Best, there was a spin-off show called Brooke Knows Best about his daughter, where she was the main character. That one was not as good, but you know, it's still part of the lore. It's still part of the pantheon of the shared Hogan Knows Best universe. Yeah, I missed the mystery of season 1 and season 2. Not to mention the show already knows it's the most popular thing, so it's become completely self-indulgent. It does kind of feel like that at times, yeah. I think the roster is too big. Like, there's too many characters. I think that they really need to, I don't know, kill some of these characters off that they've been too scared to over the years. Because you have, like, you have, like, the regular group of kids, and then you have the parents, and then you have, you know, the other characters that they've added in, like, what's her name? I can't think of her name. Uma Thurman's daughter. So she's in there now. And like, there's just such a large cast, and it's like, it's hard to focus on. Oh, and the what's his name? God, I don't know. I can't remember any of the characters' names. The daughter, the daughter that was taken in season 5, she gets taken to the house, whatever the kid's name is. I can't remember his name now. There's Mike, and then there's Dustin, and then there's yeah, Mike. Yeah, Mike. That's who I'm thinking of. Right. Yeah, his sister, his younger sister, is now like a main character in the show. So they're just adding more and more characters in, instead of keeping the cast a little bit more focused, I guess. Is The Walking Dead even still going? There's a ridiculous amount of spin-off shows that are still going, but the original show has ended. Yeah, that show definitely went on way too long. To me, the ending of The Walking Dead now is that the Rick and Michonne spin-off show, the Ones Who Live, because for me, Rick was always kind of the heart. Rick and Carl were like the heart of the show, and after they killed Carl off, spoiler alert, and then got rid of Rick, I just didn't really have an interest in watching it anymore. It's one of the only shows I ever gave up on while watching it. Now, but if it was already available, like if the show was already over when I started it, I probably would have finished it just to get it done. But I was watching it weekly, and I was suffering through it, man. Like every single episode got worse and worse. Like after season 5, it just started to go downhill, and there were so many things that annoyed me and irritated me about it. And then it got to the point where they took Rick off the show, and at that point I was done. I was like, all right, I'm out now. Like, do anything you want to the show. I don't care anymore. And I never thought he would actually come back. And then they did do that mini series. And at that point I was like, okay, well, I'll give this a shot. I liked it all right. I thought it was good. To me, that's going to serve as the ending of The Walking Dead. So for me, I watched up until when Rick left the show. Then I didn't care. Then I watched the Rick and Michonne spin-off show, and I was like, okay, I'm good. That works as an ending. I don't need any more. That'll be my finale of The Walking Dead. Dragon Ball is better than Dragon Ball Z. You know, kinda, yeah. Kinda, yeah. It depends on my mood. I go back and forth because DBZ is like my childhood, you know. Dragon Ball is also, but you know, in the US, Dragon Ball Z pretty much came out first. I know some people will say like Dragon Ball technically aired, but it was in like syndication in the morning and nobody saw it. It was only like the first 13 episodes. So like technicality aside, for all intents and purposes, Dragon Ball Z aired first. So I have such a connection and attachment to it. But when I did watch through Dragon Ball, there is something about that series that I think is really, really special. Like before we get to the Z portion, the DBZ anime, separating it, the manga doesn't separate it, but separating it for the anime. You know, I really do think that Dragon Ball has like a heart and a charm to it that not that DBZ doesn't have, but there's a certain point where the characters just get so ridiculously powerful that it just becomes different, man. You miss the martial arts tournaments. You miss when characters could, you know, show up somewhere and there would be a potential that there's somebody stronger out there, right? Like at a martial arts tournament in Dragon Ball, you never know what's going to happen. And after we get into DBZ and into Super Saiyans and stuff, I mean, there's really no chance for a character showing up that's stronger unless they're from another dimension or, you know, there's something like Majin Buu that's been, you know, you have to come up with all these different reasons for characters to be stronger at that point. But there was a time where you could just run into somebody stronger. Yeah, I feel like Vegeta over the years grown into a pretty sweet guy. Yeah, he's a jerk sometimes, but in the later season, he cares a lot. I think one of the greatest things about the Majin Buu saga to me is the character arc of Vegeta. I love the Majin Vegeta stuff. That's some of my favorite, but I also love when he comes back and that he's the guy that kind of comes up with the plan to defeat Buu, like Kid Buu, like to do the spirit bomb and stuff. But like, he's not the guy that is going to take the glory. He's not the guy that's going to do it himself. And it's actually his idea to get everybody to cooperate, you know? So there is a really nice arc that happens there with him where he is this guy that kind of throws everyone else away and does everything himself. But then when it comes down to it, you know, in this moment, not only does he also like agrees and accepts that Goku is his superior, but he also comes up with a plan that involves incorporating everybody to try to help. So it's interesting to see the difference where earlier in the series, you know, if he's like, if I can't do it by myself, then, you know, it doesn't matter. But, you know, it's a nice little character moment for him. Do you think there's a chance that the OG Band of the Hawk can come back in the final arc? No. No. I think in Berserk, death is permanent. Basically, all of Goku's friends were his enemies at one point. Yeah, true, true. Well, that's like, Goku's role in the story, kind of in a way, you know, is to kind of, everyone is kind of drawn to him in one way or another, whether they're trying to kill him at first, they're intrigued by him, they're motivated by him, they're pushed by him. He sort of is this, you know, this beacon that kind of draws everyone in towards them and then makes them a better person. He brings out the best in other people. Are you going to watch the final season of The Boys? Yes, I will. That's another show, kind of like Stranger Things for me, where I never go back and rewatch it, and I don't really care to. I just kind of watch the new episodes when they come out. So same thing with The Boys. I probably will never go back and rewatch the series, but I do watch every new season that comes out. And I'm glad that it's the final season. I'm glad that they're not allowing it to go on so long that it wears out its welcome, because I feel like even the last season was a little bit like, okay, guys, you know, it's just like they were doing some things that I felt like it's like, okay, we got to be shocking. We got to be as, you know, perverted as possible. We got to be, it's like they keep trying to top themselves in maybe ways that is not really like the best for long-term storytelling. You know what I mean? So I'm glad they're deciding to be like, okay, this is the final season. Hopefully they go out with a bang. That's another show also where like, you really got to start killing off some characters, man. Like, why is the Deep still alive? I hate the Deep. I hate him so much. I hate that character with every fiber of my being. I just want the Deep to die. I think people on, both sides need to start killing some characters, man. We need to start moving towards the end game. So I hope the final season is going to be good. I hope it's intense. I hope it's fun. And I hope there's a lot of things that I don't predict are going to happen that happen in it. At your dad's girlfriend's house right now. Get me out. Well, why are you there? I'm trying to put the moves on your dad's girlfriend. That's kind of weird, man. I don't know. Leave. Notice that 5 seasons is the magic number. When a show goes past that, it starts to suck. That is kind of like, hang on. Yeah, that is kind of the territory where a lot of shows start to go downhill. I think a lot of series, I'm trying to think, like, shows that I like. I know Buffy the Vampire Slayer is 7 seasons long, and I think every season is good, but I definitely do think it peaked in like seasons 1, like 2, 3, and 4, kind of in the middle of the series. I just don't like when shows go on so long that you can tell that they don't have any idea where they're going to end up. I kind of like when a show feels like it's going somewhere, where it has a destination in mind and it's not just flying by the seat of its pants. Like, that's kind of the thing I noticed with Walking Dead when I was trying to watch it, is like, even though they're basing their storylines on a pre-existing thing, on the comics, it still felt like they had no idea where they were going to end up, and that they were just like padding things out and making every single thing last as long as possible just to keep themselves on the air. Like, storylines that could probably be done in a good solid 10 episodes were taking 2 seasons to accomplish. And it just gave you this feeling like, oh, they really don't have an end game for this series. They really don't know where they're going. And they didn't, because instead of actually just ending the show, they had like 3 different spin-off series happen from it. So that is definitely kind of like, yeah. And if you do manage to get to like a 5th or 6th season, you got to imagine, like, you got to have some kind of idea of where the show is going to end. At least, I don't know. I feel like you should. And I think you're right. I think once you pass that kind of 5-season barrier, that's usually when shows start to go downhill. Sometimes before then, too. And that's also why I'm hesitant to get into certain shows, because people say that the show is great for seasons 2, 3, but then it just goes downhill. So I'm like, wait, so I got like 3 good seasons to watch, and then if I continue the show, I have 5 or 6 bad seasons to watch. It's like, or seasons that just aren't as good. It's like, I don't want to start a show where over half of it is not good, or it's so good in the first half that I'm going to be endlessly disappointed by the second half. Yeah, when shows like Walking Dead and Stranger Things drag on too long, people get bored faster and are less impatient to wait for more content. Yeah, I mean, true. And with Stranger Things, it's not like the episode count is long. It's just the wait for release of seasons and release of episodes is really long. To the point where I don't even remember half the shit that happened in that show. I don't know. Watched the Toonami vid the other day, and man, did that take me down memory lane. We were definitely blessed and didn't even know it. Also, Toonami at night was good. Was the shit. Yeah, I know. It's like, I say it all the time, man. I think that we had the best childhood. We grew up in the best era when it comes to television and stuff like that, Being able to have Toonami be this kind of like access point to a bunch of different kinds of anime and shows that we would never see otherwise, and at a time where it wasn't really like a as respected as it is now, or as popular or as mainstream as it is now. It was just a very, very special time. And I think at that time, we never really realized how special it was. And so I think that's how it is with most things, is that you never really realize how good something is, obviously, until it's not there anymore, or until you grow up and start to realize that, man, like things are never going to be like if you start to have kids, you're like, man, things are never going to be for them how it was for me. And then we have to navigate this entire new world. And it's just, it can be difficult, man. So yeah. And I like making videos like that because I do like kind of reminiscing and getting nostalgic and just remembering things in a positive way, not letting the memories pass you by. It's one thing. I mean, you don't want to be stuck in the past and stuck in memories forever. You want to be in the present as much as you can. But at the same time, it's like you want to remember why it was special. You want to remember what it meant to you, and sometimes you need to talk about it for that reason. Yeah, Breaking Bad ended at 5 seasons for a reason. They knew not to extend it for the sake of doing so. Well, also, yeah, with Breaking Bad, like they had ideas of where they were going to end the series, and I think that it ended on a high note. That's what you really want to do. You want to end while the series is, if not at its peak, like right after the peak. You want to end on the highest note possible. But I do think Breaking Bad is a rare example where it gets better every single season. Most shows peak somewhere in the middle. Sometimes they take a little while to find their footing, and then season 2, 3, 4 are usually generally like the best. And then after that, it goes downhill. With Breaking Bad, that is one of the rare examples where I think you could arguably say every season gets substantially better. I mean, some people like, season 4 over 5 of Breaking Bad, and that's valid. But I think most people probably prefer season 5, which is crazy to think that the final season is most people's favorite. That is not the case with the majority of TV shows. I feel like streaming is the nihilism of TV and individual streaming services right now, in terms of stuff like Disney and studios trying to buy different studios. Well, like I said in the beginning of the stream, the problem is that if it continues to form itself into a monopoly like this, then in the next 5 or 10 years, every single legal source of our media consumption is going to be owned by like 3 to 5 different companies. We're going to have Disney, this Netflix merger thing. There's a couple of others out there that are still remaining, but eventually everything's going to get swallowed up, and things like that are already happening, like YouTube, Twitter, online sources as well are all getting swallowed up by one thing. And that's where I think one of the biggest problems comes in, because it doesn't allow you variety. And then if one entity, one corporation controls that much content, that much media, then you're pretty much at the mercy of whatever they want to do with it. And if they want to get rid of it, if they want to shorten the theatrical window to the point where you can't see the movie in theaters anymore, or they're not even going to bother to put their movies out in theaters because they want everybody to watch it on their streaming service. They're not going to put movies out on physical media because they want everyone to watch it on their service. It's just going to create this funnel that just leads us to, I don't know, it leads us to what? I don't know. A monopoly. Like, I don't know. It's just not going to be, I don't know. I don't see a positive future where this is going. You, Cuzworld, and Dead Meat are my comfort YouTubers. Thank you. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm happy to be anybody's comfort YouTuber. Rick and Morty, Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad, Sopranos, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead all met their fate, either following or rejecting the rule of 5. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Yeah, Sopranos. Well, Sopranos has 6 seasons, right? So I think it had one more good season after 5. But in general, you're right. Finished the Berserk 97 anime for the first time 2 months ago. Couldn't sleep for about a week. Yeah, that checks out. Need to start the manga. Do you think there will be another Berserk anime in the future? At some point in the future, probably. I mean, the future, well, actually, who knows? We could all be destroyed by Skynet and AI in the next 50 years. But if we're not, then, yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. I just hope that when and if it does, it's by people that really care and want to take their time with it because, Berserk 2016 was a disaster. We're looking at stuff like One Punch Man Season 3 right now, which is terrible. And then everything that I've seen so far, hopefully I'm wrong, probably not, but everything that I've seen so far for the Fist of the North Star reboot anime also looks terrible. So I don't have a lot of faith and confidence right now, but if there can be a team behind it that actually cares and actually gives a shit, then, then I would definitely support it. I mean, I would check it out no matter what, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it comes with shows with an elaborate plot that goes on too long, especially with streaming becoming ubiquitous. Stranger Things would be prone to these issues with beginning to forget. Oh, I get like forgetting the stuff that's going on. Yeah. Hold on, let me read that again. Comes with shows with an elaborate plot that goes on too long, especially with streaming becoming ubiquitous. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, Stranger Things having an elaborate plot that goes on way too long, and then there's so much time in between seasons that obviously you're going to forget a bunch of things that happen unless you're, like, just a hardcore fan of the show that rewatches it endlessly, right? Yeah. And, I mean, I don't know. There's some shows I rewatch all the time, but there's other ones like Stranger Things where I remember, I have the memories fondly in my head. Like, I remember watching season 1 and loving it and having a really good time with it. And I remember that era of my life and everything. But I still just, for whatever reason, have no desire to go back and try to rewatch the whole show. So I'm just jumping into season 5 with whatever vague memories I have of seasons 1 through 4 and doing my best to put the pieces together. A lot of it comes back to you while you're watching it, but at the same time, there's certain moments and certain things that happen where I'm like, wait, what? Like, I don't remember that story point, or I don't remember when that character did that or said that. Try to go with the philosophy, if you keep fighting, in the end, you will win. Perhaps. But I think you keep fighting because the fight is worth it. It's not necessarily about winning, but it's about going down swinging sometimes. It's like you fight because it's the right thing to do, even when the odds are incredibly stacked against you. Might be controversial, but season 1 was your favorite Breaking Bad season. Interesting. I don't think it's controversial, but definitely unlikely. Like, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a lot of people that agree. I think every season of Breaking Bad is great. Don't get me wrong. I love season 1. But I think most people would probably pick seasons 5 and 4. Maybe some would pick 3. I think it'd be a lot more rare for somebody to pick season 1 and 2 as their favorite. And season 1 is short too. It's like half a season. So, the other seasons just give you more, things get more intense. The plot develops more, characters develop more. So, yeah, but I mean, I love season 1. So, I'm trying to think if I have a hot take like that where like a season, I don't know if I do. The only one I can really think of is when it comes to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. A lot of people love season 5, and that's my least favorite season. But I don't know if I have like a specific hot take of like my favorite season of a show being like the least likely to be my favorite. I'm a basic bitch, man. I usually end up liking things that the other people like too. Thank you for the super chat, Bruce Wayne. Appreciate it. Thank you. Been a crazy day at work. Appreciate the streams, Ryan. Much love, bro. Please do comic reviews. Retail is crazy, bro. Dude, don't I know it. I try to repress as many memories of working retail as I can, which is hard to do because I worked it for about 10 years of my life in total. And it's terrible. Sometimes, depending, if you have good coworkers, it can be fun. It can be a good time once in a while, but overall, it's a nightmare, especially this time of year as it gets closer to Christmas. That's the worst time to work retail, man. You get crazy people that come out of the woodwork that you never see the entire rest of the year, and now all of a sudden they're in the store all the time. It's like, where did you come from? Like, you know, it's like I swear they crawl out from the mountains, man. It's weird. Yeah. Good luck to you, my friend. Good luck to you. I do want to do more comic reviews. I want to do more of everything, man. I want to do more book reviews. I want to do more comic reviews. I want to do more movie retrospectives. I want to do everything. I just don't have time to do everything. But I have comics on my list that I want to get to. I want to talk about some Alan Moore stuff. I would love to go back and reread the Frank Miller Sin City comics and talk about them. I want to talk about Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, you know, like really bad on the channel. And I don't know if I would do like if I did any superhero stuff, I might do like my top 5 Batman stories or something like that. Not make a full deep dive video, but do like an overview, because I feel like that could be endless, you know. Something like that I would do for comics. Then I got a super chat from Say No to Shonen. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Funny username. Thank you for the support, man. Says, hey, Mr. Pinkman, fortunately, there's enough older games, shows, and movies to last the rest of our lives. We do not have to consume the slop, even though it can be hard not to because of the hype culture. No, I agree. The problem becomes when these corporations own all of the older content. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you guys have the means, if you got the extra cash sitting around, definitely check out like trying to get the movies that you love on physical media now. Because if the merger goes through and things go as dark as I predict that they possibly could, you know, they could funnel it in a way that the only means you have to consume the media is through their streaming service. So they might get to a point where, because Netflix already doesn't print a lot of physical media for their stuff. How long did it take for that movie Hush to get a physical media release? You know, like they'll do it for giant shows like Stranger Things and stuff, but they won't do it for every movie that they release. So I can see kind of a dark future that if they own a monopoly on all of, you know, Warner Brothers' history of movies, that, you know, they could get to a point where they decide that they want to stop printing them, or they could, you know, and they can even take them off of the service. Like, you don't own the movies that are on there. You just own access to the service. So they could literally take movies off the streaming service anytime they want to. And if the algorithm is helping them push up things that are just like super popular or new, they want to push out all their new stuff. Older movies are going to get pushed more and more to the back. So I agree with you that, yeah, there's so much endless older shows and movies that we can watch, and I do think that we should watch them. But I also think that now would be the time to start collecting them in any way that you can, because you never know what could happen. Like, that's part of the worry. That's part of the concern is film preservation. You know, it's like, are you going to be able to preserve these older movies if, you know, physical media stops, if streaming services take them off their platform? If that's the case, the only way people have access to them is through pirating, you know? And it's so funny to me that streaming in a way stopped pirating for so long, or not stopped it, but like, you know, suppressed it. Like, pirating went down when streaming services started to go up, but now it's starting to go the opposite way. Now that streaming services are starting to own everything, and trap you into endless, you know, price gouging, then it's like, well, now people are going back to pirating. So it's just kind of crazy how it's come full circle. And then, hey, thank you so much. Hey, Dylan Smith, thank you so much. Thank you, man. Very generous super chat of you. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you supporting the channel, brother. Thank you very much. Dylan says, does anybody here have any manga or anime recommendations that may be a little off the beaten path? I know most of the mainstream ones, so none of those, please. Appreciate the content and no push-ups required. All right. I mean, listen, man, if you want me to do 50 push-ups, I could, you know, I could do it, man. But all right. Yeah, so my top picks for manga that is a little bit more off the beaten path. My number one would be a manga called Eden. It's an Endless World. Again, it's one of those ones that's really hard to find physical copies for, so you probably have to read it online. But it's like a sci-fi dystopian world. But it has a lot of elements of war. It deals with topics of like drug use. It deals with like apocalyptic things going. It's just a weird manga to try to describe because there's so many things going on. But it does flow in a very like cohesive way. Like it all does start to make sense. But I would definitely say, yeah, Eden, it's an endless world. It's like a dystopian sci-fi series. Really, really good. Not really off the beaten path too much, but I would say the manga Inuyashiki by the guy that wrote Gantz, Hiroya Oku. It's a series about an older man, which I think is interesting because a lot of manga and anime and stuff are usually about younger characters. So anytime you get a story that's about somebody a little bit different, I think is interesting. So the fact that there still is a younger character that's a main character, but the true main character of the series is this older man, and he gets hit with something out of nowhere, and then wakes up and sees that he's been transformed into a cyborg. I know that sounds like so random, but like it's actually like a very like heartfelt, genuine series, and there are moments in it that get very chaotic and violent, kind of like Gantz, but it never gets as dark as Gantz does. There's definitely like, when you read it, you'll definitely see that it's by the guy that made Gantz, but I think it's got a little bit more of a wholesome quality to it. Like the old man is genuinely like a very, very good person, and he gets all these newfound abilities. He doesn't know why, but he's trying to do good with them in a world that really doesn't want him to do good. So it's not like a superhero story, you know. I guess maybe I kind of made it sound like that. It's not really. It's just this dude that's in the later years of his life that all of a sudden gets all of these powers and he tries to do good things with it. Like that's pretty much what the series is. And there's somebody else that gets the same powers that wants to do the opposite. What else off the beaten path a little bit? There's one called, there's a horror series I read called Starving Anonymous that is basically this guy gets abducted and he's in this underground facility where people are harvesting human beings to feed these giant alien creatures. It's pretty cool, pretty fucked up. Try to think of one more that's like a little bit off the beaten path. There's one that's kind of like a fantasy. It's sort of a dark fantasy, but again, it's very wholesome. It's called Girl from the Other Side. It's about this little girl that lives in the forest with this like creature, this like dark creature that's like her protector. And there's human beings that exist, but they're like on the other side of a wall. And, you know, she's living in the forest with this creature, and you're trying to figure out why this creature is taking care of her and why it's being nice to her and why they're connected and all this stuff. And, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. I don't want to say too much, spoil too much, because it's kind of one of those stories that just constantly unfolds. But I would definitely recommend those ones. So Eden, It's an Endless World, Inuyashiki, Girl from the Other Side, and Starving Anonymous. I don't know how popular they actually are, but I never really hear anybody talk about them. So those are my kind of more underrated picks. I also have to do push-ups. So you said, Dylan said don't do push-ups. So I'll honor it's your donation. So I do it for you. You know what I mean? But if you don't want me to do push-ups, that's fine. But I will do push-ups for Say No to Shonen and Bruce Wayne. I owe you guys. So that would be 15 push-ups. All right, here we go. As soon as my leg stops being asleep. Okay, all right. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. And I hope you guys are doing your push-ups along at home. Make sure you do your push-ups every day. But don't follow it with a 10K run every day like One Punch Man, because you will destroy your knees. But thank you once again. I appreciate it. Other recommendations people are putting in the chat: Call of the Night, Mr. Malo Blue, Happiness, Smoking Behind the Supermarket. Interesting. I don't know what any of those are. They're probably all hentai for all I know. But that's what Kotar recommends. You got to play Killer 7, bro. It's a masterpiece. Did you play any of Suda 51's games? I don't think so. I've heard of Killer 7, but I don't know anything about it. We are not doing them at home. Why not? You got to do your push-ups, man. It's important. You got to do your push-ups every day, man. Do the push-ups if you want. I was just saying they're not required. Hey, if they're not required, I'll leave it be for now. But thank you, man. I deeply appreciate it. What's going on with Berserk right now? I mean, your guess is as good as mine. If I ever see an update, I usually let you guys know. As far as I know, they're just steadily working on chapters. Also, as far as I know, like, it's up to the magazine itself when to publish them. So even if they have chapters ready to go that are finished, it's not necessarily like Studio Gaga gets to put them out immediately. Like, it's usually put out whenever the magazine decides to publish it. So I don't know how many chapters they're sitting on. I don't know how many chapters they do ahead of time. And usually we don't even know when we're going to get a chapter until like 2 weeks before. So there's not really a lot of notice that goes on. Just had a Snickers and Ruffles. That's a boy dinner right there, if there ever was one. Did I hear Call of the Night? You might have. I don't know. I think the music is on shuffle right now, so it's a possibility. Have you ever watched Kengan Ashura? Because it's the same type of animation as the new Fist of the North Star trailer. I'm barely even joking. People have been trying to get me to watch it since it came out, but I never have. More of a Baki guy. I know they did the crossover thing though, which is funny. But no, I haven't gotten into it. No. Need something to read / watch to numb my mind and escape reality? Well, what are you looking for? I mean, there's a lot of variety out there. You want something adventure, you want some horror, you want some comedy, you gotta give me a direction to go with. Otherwise, I'll just tell you to watch Seven Samurai. Do that. The greatest movie ever made. By the way, did you read any of the Cross comics? I have not. No. We were talking earlier about comics, and I was saying like there's a bunch of them that I would like to do videos for on the channel. It's just a matter of getting around to things. I have no shortage of video ideas. It's just a matter of getting to them all. It just takes so long to try to do things sometimes, and it's tough, man. I'm not gonna lie. One person, it's difficult. I wish. Listen, I wish I had the means and resources to have like a team of people and editors and all that kind of stuff, but I run this channel solo, so there's only so much I can put out. And I try to get around to a lot of things. I try to get as much variety as I can. I like variety on the channel, a lot of people don't, but I do. And I try to be festive. Like, it's December, so I'm doing a Christmas horror movie review every week. So I thought that would be a fun idea because that's what I did last year. But then I put out the Silent Night, Deadly Night review, and not a lot of people watched it. So I was like, okay, well, I guess maybe that's a dumb idea, but I'm doing it anyway because I already said I was going to do it, and I've already plotted out my entire month to do it. So there's that. There's books I want to get around to finish reading so I can do more book reviews. I'll probably step back into trying to make another retrospective sometime around like February or March. There's video game stuff I want to get around to. It's just like an endless amount of things. How do you get out of the retail grind? Well, I mean, you could just get a different job, I suppose. I mean, I don't think that my method is going to work for everybody. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I just tried to do as much YouTube as I possibly could. And basically what I did was just spend every waking moment of my life working. When I was not at my job, I was working on YouTube videos, and I did nothing else. For like 5 years, I didn't do anything other than go to work, go to the gym, come home, and work on videos. I didn't go out. I didn't leave. I didn't spend any money. I didn't have any money. I was trying to save money. So like I didn't spend anything, like literally nothing. I just sat there and tried to build up the YouTube channel for like 5-6 years while working full time and trying to save as much money as possible. And then eventually I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to try to quit my job and do YouTube full time. And that was in 2022. And so that's what I did. And now it's like 3.5 years later, and I'm like, did I make the right call? I'm like, I'm happy to not be doing retail anymore. Don't get me wrong. But like, sometimes I'm just like, I'm so fucking stressed out. I'm just like, maybe I am just a failure and I should just not do this. But anyways, yeah. So I don't know, man, just try to find something else you can do on the side, whether it's a second job, whether it's your passion, try to find a way to make money for it, whatever the thing is that you like. I mean, it's hard to give advice when you don't know somebody's situation, right? So it's like, I can't really tell you what to do. All I can tell you is what I did. And basically what that was just keep working as much as you can while also, when you're not at work on your art, your craft, your passion, whatever it is, whether it's making music or drawing or doing commissions or making videos or, whatever, like if you want to, I don't know, anything that you want to do that's not your regular job, just spend all of your time doing that when you're not at work, and just do both at the same time, and do it while you're young, when you have the energy to do it, and get yourself to a point where you can get your side gig, side hustle, whatever you want to call it, your art, whatever, get that to a point where it's about equal. You probably want it to be doing better than, your retail job, but like get that to a point where it's like equal, and then just take the leap and see what you can do. That's what I did. And like I said, that's not even like a guarantee, because I already kind of like, I don't regret doing it. You know what I mean? But it definitely didn't work out to a point where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm comfortable now. Like things are good now. Like, no, I'm stressed the fuck out all the time, because like I never know what I'm going to make month to month. I never know if I'm going to be able to keep this shit going. YouTube is always sharing, algorithmic numbers at you, telling you how much you suck. And sometimes I'm just like, man, I should just fucking stop. just go get an office job because this is, yeah. Anyways, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, quitting your retail job. I don't know. Find something else, man. Find something else that you like more. Or build something up on the side the best that you can until it's comparable with what you're doing now. Wish there was a Leprechaun Christmas movie. Man, so do I. And I think you could work that into a film so well because you could obviously just have a moment where the leprechaun pretends to be an elf and winds up at the North Pole and torments Santa. I think that would be fantastic. That would be a great movie. And also, if you did it in a way where Santa Claus can also use magic, you could have a battle between Santa and the leprechaun. It'd be pretty great. You think Zack Snyder will come back now that Netflix owns WB? I mean, that's the least of my concerns, man. Like I said, like I'm more terrified about just this collectivized monopoly of having all of the history of WB under one banner and then forcing it to be on a streaming service and potentially removing physical media and movies coming out in theaters and just like singular corporations owning too much. I don't really care. I mean, sorry, I'm trying to fix this microphone. I mean, whether or not that happened with like Zack Snyder, like I said, like I mean, fine, that'd be fine, I guess. But like, it's the least of my worries. I'm more worried about the future of film preservation. You know what I mean? Um, so I need to sacrifice and build huge discipline. Seriously, like a cool internet Uncle Ryan. Love you, bro. I mean, basically, yeah. Uh, there are times in life, where you do have to like step into that like grind mentality where you just have to like just barrel through to try to get to the other end. It's not sustainable forever. Some people are like, it's just grind, 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 like work, 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 work. And it's like there are times in life where you need to be like that but I also think that it's not necessarily like sustainable long term because at some point you will crash out. But sometimes it has to be done. Yeah, ever thought about working and doing YouTube at the same time? It would help out a lot, or would it be too much? I think it's a little bit of both. I think that I've definitely thought about it, especially this year, because I've had a pretty terrible year with YouTube financially. And so, like, it's getting to the point where I really need to consider things, especially just the fact that I'm getting older, too. And, like, if I ever wanted to, like, if I ever wanted to, like, have kids or something, it's just like I don't make enough to support them. You know what I mean? So, I've definitely thought about it, but then also there's two things. There's two things. One is that if I do that, then that is less content for the channel because I spend so much time making videos now that it would basically reduce the video output by half. You know what I mean? So if I get like 2 to 3 videos out a week at this point, at this rate, we're looking at like 1 video a week, right? So there's that. So I would actually end up making even less on the channel than I'm making now because there would be less content because I would have less time to make content, So there's that, number one. And then number two is pretty much just an ego thing, like just feeling like I got to the point where I did quit my full-time job to try to do YouTube. And so I feel like if I have to go back to something like it, that it's like I just feel like I would be admitting defeat. You know, I feel like I would be admitting that I failed at doing YouTube, which I might have to here very soon. You know what I mean? But like, I feel like there's just part of me that's just like, I was really hoping that like we just got to the, like, you know, like I'm in like my mid 30s, you know what I mean? I'm just like, I've been trying to do YouTube pretty much for like almost 2 decades, basically, on and off. But like, I'm just like, can I just like get to a point? Can I just get to a point where I can just do this? Where I can just do this and not worry so much and not stress myself out too much and just be able to do it and just focus on, you know, making these things, these videos, these documentaries, these introspectives, retrospectives, deep dives, like all this stuff that I've wanted to do like for so long, and finally having the time to do it, and just feeling like, I don't know, there's so many things I failed at in life, you know what I mean? Like there's so many things I've tried to do that I've massively failed at, and I've looked like a failure to so many people over the years, and it's just like, I feel like it would just be that one last, like it would be the straw that would break me. It's just like, you know what I mean? Like, cause I tried to make films when I was younger. That didn't work. I tried to write books. That didn't work. Tried to like move across the country and do different things. That didn't work. I've tried to do so many different things, and every single thing ended up failing. And I'm like, this is the one thing that has kind of sort of worked. And I just feel like if I fail at this, then that's just like the nail in the coffin. It's just like you're never going to be able to do anything. You know, it's too late. You're too old. It's like you're not. It's I don't know. And I know that that's all a stupid way to think of things, but like, there's part of me that thinks that. You know, there's part of me that thinks like that is the acceptance of failure in a way. So I don't know, but it might have to get to that point. You know what I mean? We'll see how things go. We'll see how things go in the future. Too Vivid, thank you so much. Harrison, appreciate it, man. Bro, my muse finally coming to my studio. Gotta update you later. Shit made me cry, dog. Also, I'm at the gym right now, murdering my legs. Damn, dude. Well, yeah, give me a holler tomorrow. Well, probably Sunday. I should be more free. Yeah, hit me up on Sunday. We'll talk about it, man. I need to know the details. Also, get them legs, man. Get them legs. I'm going to get this chest as I do 5 push-ups for you, my friend. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah. Get them gains. Exactly. Would you adopt a kid? I would prefer not to. I would prefer to have my own biological kid. But if there was like an issue where like I couldn't, you know what I mean? If there was like something wrong that couldn't, you know, allow that to happen, at that point I'd be open to the idea. But in general, yeah, I'd like to have my own. But again, I can't even like think about stuff like that right now because I'm just not in a place in life where it would be a good idea. You know what I mean? If it's any comfort, an American can earn $500K a year and still struggle financially. Man, if I just made like 50K per year, I would be living large, man. Like, that would be life changing for me. Like, I could make do with that. You know what I mean? But everyone's broke right now. You know what I mean? Like we're in a really bad spot over here in the U.S. I don't know where everybody is in the chat, but you know, lots of people are struggling right now.
Yeah, just Philia just started doing a YouTube channel, doing anime reviews, and work full time. I can put out maybe 1 to 2 videos a week if I'm lucky. Yeah, exactly, man. And don't quit. I mean, keep up as much consistency as you can as possible. I think one of the biggest contributors to people not like YouTube not working out is that they give up. You know, they just they put out a couple of videos and they don't do well, and then they just kind of say fuck it. You gotta be willing to go through like all of the pain of just, you know, failure after failure after failure to get somewhere. So don't let that discourage you. I would say, like, just keep, not saying they are, I mean, I don't know how your videos do, but I'm saying, like, if that's the case, don't quit. You know, if the videos aren't doing well at first, just kind of get through them. And also, the more you make them, the more that you work on them, the better that you'll get. You know what I mean? It's like the only way to get better at a thing is to do the thing. And I think that a lot of people give up early. There's a lot of people too that I talk to, or like you know, early on, and they had a good YouTube channel, and they put out like 3 or 4 really great videos. And I was like, yeah, I mean, this is awesome, man. Yeah, keep it going, you know? And then I check back, you know, a couple months later, and they haven't uploaded anything. And I was like, what do you just had like 4 great videos. And then, you know, 6 months later, but some people don't want to do that. You know, I think some people too, like they think they want to do YouTube, and then they actually start doing it and they realize, you know, shit, like this is actually kind of like extremely time consuming and is eating up like every single ounce of my day and requires a ridiculous amount of research and editing and recording and all this. And it's actually like not fun and actually something they don't want to do. And I think you just have to kind of like do it to figure out like if it's going to be something that you're going to enjoy doing or not, you know? But it is a shame for some people, though, because I feel like they put out really good videos, but then they just figure that YouTube isn't for them. It's just not something that they want to do. And that's kind of the key also, I would say, is that you really do got to be passionate about what you're doing. Like, and that's another reason why, you know, sometimes people ask, like, why don't I just only talk about Berserk, right? Because that's what gets me the most views. And it's like, well, because of all of the effort that goes into creating something, it's like, you know, once you how do I want to explain this? It's just like, you know, in order to keep like yourself motivated and like sustained, you know, you have to be involved with doing like a variety of things, or at least I do. Like I have to do something a little bit different. I have to talk about different things. I can't just like do the same thing over and over, because the process of making a video can be so monotonous of just like writing, recording, editing, writing, recording, editing, that like you don't want to feel like you're doing the same thing 50 times, because it starts to kind of drive you insane after a while. Even if you like the thing that you're talking about, you know, you kind of have to try different things. And sometimes people don't have to, but for me, I definitely do, to keep me invested and to keep the creativity flowing and to keep the process of making videos fun and stimulating for me. To a point where I'm excited to put something out. You know, I hate the idea of spending hours and hours and hours working on something that like, I'm like, oh God, I just need to get this out. Like, I just don't care. Like, that's not how I want my videos to be. That's not how I want my videos to feel. I want the videos to actually feel like every one of them is something just interesting that I wanted to say about a topic or a movie or a show or whatever it is. Like, it's something that comes from the heart, right? And that's what kind of helps you get through the grind of doing YouTube, I guess, is actually like wanting to get that video out to like see what people think about it, because you actually care about the video that you're making, you know? So you really have to like love the process. You got to love the grind. You got to love the creative process of making the video. And I think some people, you know, like they want to do YouTube, but then when it comes to the video creation, the actual video creation, you know, they want the views, but when it comes to the video creation, I think some people realize they're like, actually, this is extremely time consuming and a lot of work, and I don't want to do this, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Like, there's other things that like, I wish I could play music, but I don't have the patience and tolerance to learn it. And I never have, you know what I mean? So like, it looks really cool to play a guitar, and I have like learned a couple of chords or whatever, but like, I just didn't have the passion to like put into really learning it, right? There was a time in my life where I thought, you know, like I got a guitar when I was like 19, 20 years old, and I like tried and I practiced for a couple of months, and then I was like, it's not really my thing. I think the idea of playing music and being, you know, playing in a band is a really, really cool idea, but it just wasn't my thing. And I didn't realize that until I started to try to do it. And I think that a lot of people are like that with YouTube, where it's like the idea of creating videos seems really cool, but when you actually try to do it consistently, you're like, fuck, it's actually like, I don't know, the process kind of sucks. I don't want to do it. So you just have to figure it out. So I think that's just the thing that you have to do if you want to try to make videos, is you really got to be passionate about the thing that you're making and really love the process. And for me, part of loving the process is doing a lot of different things, talking about a variety of subjects. That's what keeps me invested and curious and excited about making stuff. Got a super chat from Devious Minds. Thank you so much. Have you found more information and lore involving the stupa that Guts is in? Why is he always mirroring Griffith? Does it help him let go? Interesting. I haven't researched any more information, but there are a lot of parallels between Guts and Griffith that have come up from time to time. And they are like polar opposites of one another, just from like a thematic and visual standpoint. I mean, they're kind of the inverse, right? You know, Griffith is sort of this image and ideal of what you would see a heroic figure be in a story, right? Like he rides a white horse and he's got like this pristine, you know, pretty boy look to him and everything. And then Guts is the Black Swordsman. You know, he wears the berserker armor and he looks like he's been through hell, and he has this insane bloodlust in his eyes that you see sometimes. So in any other story, it's like he would be presented as the villain. So I love the inverse of that. And I do think that they mirror each other in that way, where, you know, Griffith is actually like this darker character that's presented as a hero, and Guts is this, I wouldn't go so far as to say heroic, but he's the main character of the story. And, you know, he's viewed as this enemy. He's viewed as this sort of, I guess I'm just going to say like the Black Swordsman. Like, you know, wherever he goes, destruction is laid in its path, you know, so there's a lot of like a juxtaposition between the two characters in that sense. I don't think that Guts is like trying to go through anything as similar as Griffith has gone through. I think it's just this idea of, you know, kind of like the cycle repeating itself, but just being a little bit different, which is kind of a theme in Berserk as well. Like the same things tend to happen. It's just every time that they do happen, the results are a little bit different. But I do like that. Like, you know, Griffith going down to the dungeon, Guts into the stupa, and like one is meant for punishment, one is meant for healing. You know, there is like a lot of great opposition going on between the two. But I don't think Guts really notices it in a way that he cares. I think it's just something that happens in the story for us to notice. I don't think it's anything that Guts like consciously puts together. At least not really. But I do owe you 5 push-ups. Thank you for the support once again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you guys think is the most amount of push-ups I could do? What is the most amount of push-ups you could do? Have you ever tried? I don't know if I've ever actually tried. I think one time on stream, I did a certain amount of push-ups to the point where I like couldn't do another rep. But I think that was so long ago, I can't remember. MD Negative, thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate it, man. Gonna start writing my novel tonight. Pep talk, please, man. All right. Pep talk is, you got this, brother. You know what you're doing. You know your plan of attack, but you're also going to allow yourself to change things as time goes on. Allow the characters to become fully fleshed out to the best of your ability, because the more that you know and the more that you understand your characters, the less likely you will get writer's block, because the only thing you have to remember is what they would do. So if you know your characters in and out, you can put them in any situation whatsoever, and you can figure out what they would do in that situation because you would know what their decision is. So just get invested with your characters to the best of your ability, write to the best of your ability. Don't worry about how many pages you get done a day. Just worry about getting the story out. and you can always go back and revise. You can always go back and make revisions. You can always go back and make changes. I think the best thing you can do is just to let the story flow out of you as much as you can. And even if it sucks, like if you're at point A and you're trying to get to point B and you don't really know how to get there and you just got to write some bullshit to get you there, just do it, because you can always go back and change things as time goes on. Once you understand your story more from start to finish, you can go back to the beginning and kind of like fill the gaps and flesh out, the connections a little bit more. So just go at your own pace. Don't worry about how much you have to write a day, and just write to the best of your ability with full knowledge of your characters, and you will accomplish some wonders, my friend. So good luck. Oh, also, I didn't do your push-ups. My bad. 5 push-ups. Ugh. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah. My max was 52. 52 push-ups? That's pretty damn good, I would say. What is the average? I probably don't want to know. I probably don't want to know what the average amount of push-ups someone can do is. Well, it's broken down by age, but it says, so average 35-year-old, 21 push-ups. That's pretty sad. That's pretty sad. I can definitely do more than that, so I think I'm good. I'd say, I mean, shooting for like 25, I think 25 should be like the average. Like 25 to 30 should be like the average, right? I don't know. First time stream viewer, long time subscriber. Love your content, dude. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. Jumped in as we're talking about push-ups. You're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Thoughts on Memories of Murder? I actually have not seen it. I know that it's pretty renowned, but I haven't watched it. Some good media like Vampire Hunter D, in your opinion? Media like Vampire Hunter D? I mean, there's not really much I can think that is like it. I mean, as far as animation style goes, I mean, you definitely want to check out Ninja Scroll and Wicked City. I believe they both have the same director and the same animation studio, so there's a similarity there. There's obviously the first Vampire Hunter D movie that has a different animation style, but it's still the character. But, I mean, Vampire Hunter D is very specific. It's like a post-apocalyptic future with vampires and creatures and like space technology and mixed with Gothic architecture. And, like, it's just like, it's such a bizarre... You know what? Actually, you know what? I would recommend the 1992 Francis Ford Coppola Dracula movie, because obviously it's about vampires. It's Dracula. But I think the aesthetic of that movie, in an odd way, has a similarity to Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. Like when it comes to the shots of the castles and sort of like the Gothic influences in it and the creatures that are in it. It's got a lot of vibrant colors. I think there is kind of a similarity to the feeling of the Coppola Dracula to Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. So maybe check that out. Your lifetime max push-ups record was 7. I think you should shoot for 8, my friend. I think by the end of December, if you start now, start doing push-ups every day, do as many as you can. I think if you start now, by January 1st, I believe that you will be able to do 8 push-ups. Definitely my dream to be a filmmaker. Didn't go to college or film school, so it might be harder. I mean, that's always been my dream as well, man. That's always what I've wanted to do ever since I was young, is I wanted to make movies somehow. YouTube is kind of like a weird adjacent tangent to that in a way. In my mind, that's how I view it. You know, I think about it as, of it in the form of like creating things. I'm not making movies, but, you know, I'm talking about movies. I'm talking about things that I like, and I'm, you know, creating something that is like, you know, meant to get a reaction out of the viewer and ebb and flow from, you know, hyping you up in certain moments and then talking seriously about something and then making a joke. And so, like, to me, it kind of flows, you know, in a similar way. And I always have the dream of making a film someday. I wrote a script recently that I'm still kind of revising and going over, but I did finish it. So maybe someday I'll get a chance to make it. I don't know. I hope so. Almost ordered Vampire Hunter D on Blu-ray. Haven't seen it yet. I mean, yeah, do it, man. Do it. I mean, there's 2 movies. They're both great. They are both great. There's just Vampire Hunter D, and then there's Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, which Bloodlust is the one that I like more, that I think has better animation. And I just gravitate towards it more. That movie just captivates me in ways I can't describe, but they're both good. So I would say you would not be disappointed, I don't think, if you were to get either of them. But the one that I prefer is Bloodlust. Super chat, thank you so much, man. Thank you. Once again, from last week, 11201994. Thank you so much, man. Says, can you say 3 matchups you would like to see in Berserk? Beast of Darkness, Guts versus Femto, Skull Knight, and Zod, final battle. 3 matchups I want to see. Yeah, I could probably think of more than 3, but I'll try to think of top 3 fights that I want to see happen in the series. Okay, well, I mean, besides the obvious of Guts and Griffith fighting again, you know, Skull Knight and Zod fighting again, yada yada yada. I'll try to go with matchups that we haven't seen yet. So I'd like to see Serpico fight somebody like Irvine. I think that would be a good matchup. Irvine with his arrows and Serpico with the wind sword. I think there would be an interesting dynamic you could have there. It'd be a pretty cool fight. And I think Serpico needs to fight an apostle. I think it's time for him to truly graduate, you know, in the group in a way where he's taken down an apostle himself, you know. Then I would like to see, let me think here. I would like to see Skull Knight versus, I'd like to see him fight the god. Like, I'd like to see him confront the God Hand, but I don't know how you actually like physically fight the God Hand. I think really the only way to defeat them is like with the dimensional sword idea. But if not the God Hand, it'd be cool to see Skull Knight fight some other characters like Grunbeld and really put him in his place. Because to me, I mean, I feel like other than Zod, there's not really any apostles that are up to Skull Knight's level. So I'd like to see him completely decimate a character like Grunbeld or something. Grunbeld shouldn't even be alive at this point, you know what I mean? So there's another one. And then I'd like to see I'd like to see the other characters. I guess I'd like to see other characters besides Guts and Skull Knight really step up and do something. So besides Serpico, I'd love to see a team up of like Salat, Roderick, Farneson, Shirkey doing their magic to protect them along the way, fight against the other characters like Locust or whoever's left. Like, I'd love to see, like, in a big battle, a big, like, climactic battle, all of them kind of working together to take down an apostle, just showing that that they can do it. It's not just Guts, it's not just Guts swinging a sword, that there's other characters that are able to do something. I think it would take a team up to take an apostle down. Like, I think maybe Serpico could do it by himself. Salat at this point, I mean, did he defeat Rakshas? Did he not? I don't know. We're still kind of, like, unclear on that. So I'd like to see a big team up battle. I'd like to see all of them kind of go in together and take down the apostles. As far as a one-on-one fight, yeah, Irvine and Serpico definitely. Skull Knight versus Grunbeld, or Skull Knight versus any of the God Hand. And then, of course, the obvious one would be, Guts versus Femto again. There could be a Guts versus Zod battle again, but I really do think the next time Guts and Zod meet each other, I think they're going to be teaming up in some way, like reluctantly. They're not going to be buddies, but I think that I think the story is leading towards the idea of them teaming up for a fight again, kind of like they did with Ganishka. But thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate it, and I do believe that is $10 USD or $20 USD. No, $10 USD. I don't know. I'll do 10 push-ups for you. If you feel like I should do more, just tell me. I'm not sure the conversion. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah. Excuse me. For Vampire Hunter D, are the two films connected or standalone? They're standalone. The way that I understand it is that Vampire Hunter D is based on a series of novels that all have the character of D, like the main character, but they're all individual adventures. So none of them really cross over. Again, this is just, like, I have never read the novels. I've only seen the movies. But from my understanding, they all are pretty much their own stories. So the two Vampire Hunter D movies are based on some of the novels, but they don't link up. The only connection is just the main character D. But story-wise, you don't need to see one to understand the other. Morta versus Sonya. Yeah, well, I mean, I'd like to see something like that. Like, again, Sonya is another character, too, that I think might convert over to Guts' side before the end of the story. But there is a great matchup there that is pretty obvious between Sonya and Shirke. Another super chat from MD Negative. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Do you know about Gwyn Saga, which Miura cites as a major influence for Berserk? I know of it. I've never checked it out for myself, so I don't really know about the story. I just know that it's a major influence on Berserk, but I don't know, I've read through Devilman, so I understand how that's an influence as far as story goes. But as far as Gwyn Saga, I don't know the story, so I don't know the specific elements that Miura based Berserk on from Gwyn Saga. But I know of it. I know of it as an influence. And then 5 push-ups for MD Negative. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah. Oh, feeling the pump. Thank you, guys. I'm feeling the pump now, man. Feeling, getting excited, man. Feeling that pump. Feeling the pump. You got to feel the pump inside your muscles. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Late night stream, hell yeah. stream hits different when drunk. Got hit by a car the other day. Had a crappy urgent care experience. Damn, dude. Well, I hope you're okay. I mean, well, you're at least okay enough to type in a chat, but I hope you're all right, man. That's, damn. Shit. That's pretty terrifying, honestly. So I'm glad you're, I hope you're all right. First, I hope you're all right. And if you are, I'm glad you're all right, because that sounds terrifying. Random ask, unrelated to everything. Do you mess with Death Battle? I thought it was lame at first, but my homie who's obsessed with it got me into it. Now I love it. I've rarely watched it. Like, I'm aware of it. And I usually just check to see, like, if people are talking about it, I just see, you know, who's involved. And if it's characters I like, I see who they decide wins. But, I can't remember the last time I actually sat down and watched the video. Like, the one I was curious about is when they did Godzilla versus the Hulk. You know, but I didn't watch the video. I just saw people's responses to it on Twitter, and I kind of got the gist of it. So I was like, whatever. But yeah, I don't follow it, but I am curious about some of the matchups that they have. I'm also pretty sure they said Godzilla lost that battle, which I don't know if I agree with that, but I might be a little bit biased. Then MD negative again. Thank you so much, man. No pain, no gain. Well, you're right. No pain, no gain. You got to feel the pain in your muscles. All right. I'll do 2 more, but I'll do them slow. I'll do very slow push-ups. I'm going to really feel the burn, okay? Ugh. This keeps you young. Keeps you vigilant. Oh, yeah. Not touching. I don't know if you can see from the angle, but I'm not touching. I'm not touching. Oh, yeah. Could have probably held that longer, but, you know. That was actually kind of fun, I'm not going to lie. Turning a push-up into, like, a plank. I might have to incorporate that. I don't ever need to read Berserk now. I know the whole plot. Well, here's also the thing. I was talking about this in a previous stream. I think as a way, for two reasons. One, as a way to give back to the people that are fans of my channel that really want Berserk content. And then also for myself, because I have not reread Berserk from the beginning since I did the manga analysis series. And I finished that series, I think, in 2021. So it's been about 4.5 years almost since I've gone back. Like, I've read all the new chapters and I've gone back to, like, look up things when I was making videos and stuff. But as far as, like, going back and rereading the series from the very beginning, I have not done that since the manga analysis series. So I was thinking for a video series next year, I would do like a Berserk Revisited series of videos on the channel. And basically what it would be is that every week I would read a volume. So start with volume 1, and then I would do a video specifically talking about that volume and only that volume, kind of going through the series after a couple years removed. And then also with, like, the knowledge, because when I was doing the manga analysis, like, I hadn't even finished reading the series before when I started that, you know what I mean? So now I have more context and I have more knowledge about the series in general. So I thought about doing like a weekly video series where every week we go on to the next volume and specifically talk about all the stuff that happens in that volume, kind of now like recontextualized, right? Part of me wanted to try to do that video series as like a live stream and have like a conversation about it back and forth, you know? But I also think that that would be a bad idea because I think it would be impossible to keep the chat on track about one volume at a time. Because the thing about doing a series like this is that I would want to keep it focused on the chapters that we're talking about. And the problem that I foresee if I was doing it live is that I think I would get a lot of comments and questions talking about new Berserk stuff, when if we're talking about volume 2, I want to keep the conversation on volume 2, you know, and I only want to talk about the stuff that's happening in volume 2. So I think it would be really hard to do a live stream, because I think the conversation, like the chat, would be all over the place. So I might do those videos pre-recorded. The only problem with that is I don't have the discussion factor. So it would just be me talking about the volume, which some people might like, but some people might be very bored by that, you know? So I don't know exactly how I want to handle that series, because I do want to reread the story because it's been so long. And I think like it would be a good way to give back to people that have subscribed to me for a long time, that are really only here for Berserk. It would be probably good for the channel potentially, and gain some views. So I would have at least one ongoing series where I know I would be able to get some views. And that would allow me the opportunity to also work on other things. And I get to re-experience the story now with context of the things that are going to happen. So like, I think it would be a good idea, but I just don't know exactly how to do it. Like live stream, I don't know if that would work. And then just pre-recorded, I don't know if that would be too boring. So I don't know. So you guys let me know what you think. I'm also going to mention this in my, when I do my yearly kind of, update video every year. At the beginning of the year, I do an update video kind of talking about what kinds of videos I'm going to make this year. I do one every year. Usually release it on January 1st, kind of like it's my State of the Union address, you know, for the channel for the year. And I'll definitely mention the Berserk Revisited idea in that video and get some feedback from you guys from how you would prefer me to structure those videos. You know, I don't foresee them being heavily edited because I've already done stuff like that. So I think it would be more off the cuff, more organic. And also if they were heavily edited, I wouldn't be able to do one a week. Probably it'd probably be like every 2 weeks. So, yeah, so I don't know, but it's definitely something that I think I want to do next year. I think I really want to get back into the story and re-experience it from the beginning. They did a Guts one. That's why I ask. Oh yeah, they did. I forgot who his opponent was. And they did one with Dante from Devil May Cry. Yeah. I hope Dante won. See, that's the thing, is like, I feel like I would have to try to be unbiased, you know, and it's hard to do. That's hard to do. I guess it would depend on who he goes up against. Cause I'm not somebody that thinks Guts can defeat everybody. Like Guts is insanely strong, but at the end of the day, he's still a human, you know, he's still vulnerable. Have you seen 10-inch Mutant Ninja Turtles? No, I have not. I don't think I want to know it. Actually, I think I know what that is, and I think I don't want to know what that is. So that's okay. That's okay. I'll just stick with the 1990 movie and not that version. Been getting into the Immortal Hulk comics. There's a lot of pathos, kaiju, and body horror. Pretty cool. But Godzilla was nerfed in the death battle. Interesting. I have heard a lot of good things about Immortal Hulk, and I do love Hulk as a character. Like, I never got really heavy into Marvel comics, and the only ones I've really read are like Spider-Man, the X-Men. But Hulk has always been and Punisher. But Hulk has always been a character that I've really loved. Guts death battles against Dimitri from Fire Emblem. Interesting. I don't know anything about Fire Emblem, so I don't know how well they stack up against each other. However, I do have a friend that I know that is really into Fire Emblem, so I could ask them. Any games you play? Also, hope you catch up on One Piece. It did take a lot for me to finally read all the way through it. Definitely need to reach Enies Lobby and Marineford. Yeah, so currently, right now, I'm kind of playing through a lot of older games, just simply because there was like a huge gap of time where I just didn't play anything, so I missed out on a lot of stuff. So I finished playing through all of the Resident Evil series, which I did reviews on, which I loved, and I'm patiently waiting for Resident Evil 9 now. So in the meantime, I've just been playing some other things. Like I'm going through the Batman Arkham games from the beginning. I have played those before, except for Arkham Knight. I never got around to that one. So I'm playing through Asylum City, Origins, and then I'm working my way up to Arkham Knight, which I've never played. I just played through some of the Doom remake games, or the newer versions. I love those. I'm a huge fan of Doom, so that was a lot of fun. And a lot of people are saying for me to get into Silent Hill, which I want to. Right now, I only play on PC. I use Steam. So I'm thinking about going for Silent Hill 2. I noticed it's on sale right now, but I'm trying hard not to spend any money right now because I'm kind of broke right now when it comes to bills and Christmas presents and stuff. So I'm like trying not to spend any money this month. But it is on sale, and I'm like, well, just, I don't know, maybe. So I might pick up Silent Hill 2 in the near future. I don't know. So those are the ones I've been working on. Just in general, some of my favorite game series are obviously now Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, God of War, GTA. And I'm a big Mortal Kombat person too, always have been since I was a kid. So I followed that series pretty much through its entire incarnation since the original. And I want to get that collection pack of like the old school Mortal Kombat games. They have like 1 through 4 in like a legacy collection thing I want to grab. But always been big into that. Oh, and I did play, I finally got around to playing some of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, actually. I thought that was a lot of fun. It's, I enjoyed it. There's a lot of characters I want to unlock that I don't have, though. There's a lot of Dragon Ball Super characters that I'll never play as. But I thought it was pretty fun. So that's pretty much what I've been playing through as of recently. Who is your favorite Marvel character? I feel like a basic bitch, but it's probably Spider-Man, you know? It is probably Spider-Man. But besides Spider-Man, like I said, I'm a big fan of the X-Men in general. I don't really have a lot of I guess I would say like Wolverine, Cyclops, Gambit. Those are probably like my top X-Men characters in general. But I just like them like as a team. And then besides that, I'm a big fan of the Punisher. And when it comes to comics, I have not read much of the Hulk, but as far as like the Avengers characters, I'd probably say Hulk and Thor are like my top favorites. Got to play The Last of Us. Yeah, I have that on. I have a lot of games on my wish list right now. That's on there. Can you do a video of your setup? Hope all is well. Thank you, man. I mean, there's not really much to it. I mean, I could, but it would probably be a much shorter video than it seems because really, this room is actually really small. I don't know if the room looks bigger on camera, but it's a pretty small room. And really, all it is in here is I have these bookshelves that have just manga and books on them. And then I got that display case behind me with Godzilla stuff. And then right off to the side, there's like a little section where I displayed my Dragon Ball VHS tapes that I have. It's a little, like, tiny little Dragon Ball section. But then it goes right into my kitchen. So there's just like a little space here, little bit of wall space, this. And then, like I said, the shelves over here. And then on this side, there's just a table. There's just this table. And then what you can't see is my desk, which just simply has a monitor here and here, and then my PC right here, and that's like it. So that's like the entire setup. Microphone, I got a light up here, and that's it. That's the whole room. That's this entire room. So it's actually not much in here. but not much, nothing fancy about the setup, I guess. Nothing too crazy. Pretty basic. In fact, the light is literally clamped onto the top of the monitor. I don't even have like a light stand. It's literally just like there's literally just like a clamp, and I just put it on top of the monitor because there's like nowhere else to put it. Spider-Man's a great choice. Personally, being not extremely familiar with all of his iterations, I have become a huge fan of Thor. I mean, yeah, Thor's a bad, at least, maybe not the current MCU version of Thor, but Thor as a character, as a concept is pretty badass. I mean, just from mythology in general, and then, into Marvel as well. Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man is kind of like the basic go-to pick, but like, I mean, that's why I always feel like a basic bitch when it comes to superhero stuff, because like my favorite superheroes are like Batman and Spider-Man and the X-Men. It's like you really can't get much more basic than that, but those have always been my favorites. As far as Netflix buying WB, bro, I ranted about that for probably the first 45 minutes of the stream. So definitely go back and check that out if you want to hear all my thoughts about it. I don't want to annoy people by talking about it again and again, but basically I think it's terrible, and I think it's going to lead to the death of film preservation, theatrical runs, and physical media. I think it's nothing but a bad thing. I think more negative than positive is going to come out of it. It's Constantine Marvel. No, Constantine is DC. It was like an offshoot of DC. There was like a Constantine, Swamp Thing, Etrigan the Demon. It was like it was a whole thing. And then it's kind of gotten like incorporated with DC over time, like into the main DC universe. I mean, more and more over time. What's your favorite anime named attack special move? Oh, favorite anime like move or technique? Oh man, there's so many good ones. I mean, if you said specifically attack, I got to think about it a little bit more. But as far as just a technique, I mean, I think I would just go instant transmission from Dragon Ball Z, because just the idea that you could like lock onto a place or a person and just instantly be there, just teleportation, basically. Like that's the ultimate power. I mean, cuts down on travel time. You don't have to buy gas. You don't have to worry about leaving early. You got a long trip ahead of you. You don't have to spend 13 hours driving somewhere. You can just like instant transmission yourself there. That would be the best technique to have, Other than that, I think, what's an underrated one is the abilities in Full Metal Alchemist, like having alchemy. Because I think the idea, if you have like all of these pieces of something together, if you assemble them, that you could just ignite an area on a circle and it would create an object, Like I think alchemy in that series, in Full Metal Alchemist, is probably the most underrated power system of any anime, because everybody talks about Nen, everybody talks about Ki from Dragon Ball, domains, whatever, but not a lot of people talk about alchemy. And I think that is one of the most creative and interesting power sets in like any anime, no matter which kind you have. So like you can do stuff like Ed and Aldu, or you could do things like Mustang and like, manipulate the fire, and Armstrong and like the stuff that he can do. Like there's a lot of awesome things you can do through alchemy in that series that they show. And it would pretty much be like, you could just like utilize it to your specificity. What the word I'm looking for is specificity. Like you can make it specific to you, like whatever your thing is. You can make alchemy work for you. I think that's a very underrated power. Speaking of DC, do you think Raven is hot? I mean, do you know me? Of course. What do you mean? What do you mean? Duh. But the hottest DC babe is actually not Raven. It is Zatanna. Zatanna's my girl, man. She's never really been done in live action. I think she was done in a TV show. Like, I think she was on the Birds of Prey TV show from the 90s that was like one season that nobody watched. But she's never really been done in live action. But Zatanna is basically like a magic user, dresses like a magician, long dark hair, which I love. And she speaks words backwards and then makes things happen. She utilizes magic as her power system. And she is a babe. And you know, one of these days they're gonna, you know, if I ever got to make a DC movie, I would make Justice League Dark, which is like it's like a team up series with all of the more like magic based characters. So it's like Constantine, Zatanna, Deadman, who's like a ghost. You know, you got Swamp Thing in there, like all of the more like darker, more like magic horror based characters, and Zatanna's part of that team. So if I ever got a chance to make a DC movie, that would be my DC movie. I would do Justice League Dark, and I would have a lot of scenes with Zatanna. What if every time you teleported, you puke and then have diarrhea for 6 hours? Well, that's a weird drawback to have. But, well, okay, if that was the drawback, I think 6 hours of diarrhea is pretty bad, though. If you said, like, 1 hour of diarrhea, that might be worth it, you know? Like, depending on where you want to go. Like, if it was a big trip, like, that would definitely limit the usage, right? So if I had 6 hours of diarrhea every single time I teleported, like, I wouldn't use it to just go to the gym. You know, I wouldn't just teleport to the gym because I can drive there in like 15 minutes, right? So like it would cut down the usage. But if I wanted to go visit a friend that lived in like California or something, like across the country, you know, if I'm going to go visit and be there for like a week, it might be worth it. You know, like the amount of money that you would save on like a plane ticket or gas to just have to tolerate 6 hours of diarrhea. I mean, that's bad, right? It's going to be terrible when you get there. But then after 6 hours, you know, you can still enjoy your trip, right? Until you have to go back. But I mean, like, is 12 hours of diarrhea, basically, like, you know, you would have like 6 hours when you get there and then 6 hours when you get back. Is that better than spending like a couple $1,000s to try to get across the country? I think so. So in that case, I probably would still do it. Do you read One Punch Man? I do read One Punch Man, but I am not caught up with it. I have not been keeping up with the chapters in probably like the last 7 or 8 months. It's been a long time. So I read up until after the Saitama Garu fight, when they were getting into the next arc where Saitama was moving into that apartment, and there was like another group of villains off to the side, like somewhere around that era is where I kind of dropped off from it. But I've read enough to know that I really wish season 3 of the anime was done a lot better, because I know a lot of the awesome stuff that's coming up. I was upset when Disney buying Fox. It sucks seeing the same thing happen again. Trump is in office, and I got COVID last year, and another major studio was bought out. I feel like I'm in a time loop. I mean, it honestly, since 2020, it does feel like we are kind of in. I think the world did kind of end in 2020 in a way. Like, I don't know if we shifted into another dimension or if we all went to hell or what happened, but it really does feel like there is this continuous loop of terrible things happening nonstop since 2020. Did you hear about Rush Hour 4? Good or bad? Look, I think more Jackie Chan is always a good thing, in my opinion. The reasons behind it are very odd. Again, like supposedly like Trump pushed for that to happen. I mean, I guess, you know, whatever. I mean, I never said he had bad taste in movies, but very odd. But you know, I recently rewatched the first three Rush Hour movies, and they're all great, and I love them. So I'd be down to have a fourth Rush Hour, but we'll see what happens. You know, with all this crazy merger stuff that's going on, who knows what kind of plans for movies are going to be destroyed. I don't think that one's affected though, because I think that's what, Paramount. So I think they're still okay. But yeah, more Jackie Chan's always a good thing in my opinion. How about 6 days of poop for each teleport? I mean, that wouldn't be worth it at all. That's just ridiculous. Like six days of diarrhea. That's too much. That's too much. That's too much. 6 hours is bad enough, but like it's better than spending like a shit ton of money to have to go somewhere. But 6 days, I think that's comparably bad. So I wouldn't do that. What's your favorite piece of physical media that you own? So I would say probably this that's displayed up there, the Criterion collection of the Godzilla Showa era. So it's hang on, I'll grab it for you. This is my little Godzilla shrine back here. I think somebody was asking not too long ago, what's the most amount of money that you spent on physical media? And I couldn't come up with an answer. Like I couldn't think of a good answer, but then all of a sudden I remembered this. So this is a Criterion collection release of all of the Godzilla films from 1954 to 1975. So that's the first era of Godzilla, the Showa era. So it's 15, the first 15 Godzilla films, and it's in this giant like collector's case thing here. I actually took all the discs out because this was actually presenting them very poorly, because if you display this upright, as you would think that you should, the discs start to fall out and the glue that holds this together starts to melt in hot weather. So I would recommend anybody that gets this to take the discs out immediately and put them in something else, which I did. But the reason why this is probably my favorite is because I never thought we would get a release like this out here in the US, because these Showa era Godzilla films were all owned by different companies and released under different banners and different titles, and they all existed in on VHS, but you know, they were hard to find. Some of them were really difficult to find, and so to have a collection on Blu-ray of all of the original Godzilla films, many of which from my childhood, that at the time that this released, like I hadn't seen a lot of these movies since I was really, really young. It was great to pick this up and just have, you know, all of the classic Godzilla movies together. And this thing has like a whole bunch of shit in it. Like it's gigantic, as it should be for Godzilla, but it's got info on all the movies and stuff like that in here, different custom posters, and goes through film by film, Godzilla vs. Mothra, Ghidorah, all that stuff. So all of that is in here, which is pretty cool. And just the fact of having like the Showa era films on Blu-ray is kind of a crazy concept to me. It's something I never thought would actually happen. And as a huge Godzilla fan, it's like something I needed to have. So this is one of those rare occasions where I spent a lot of money as soon as it came out. I think it was like $200. Again, very rare. I wouldn't normally spend that much on physical media, but the fact that it's 15 Godzilla movies all in one giant collection, I didn't know if it would ever go out of print or anything, and it's something that I've wanted to have since I was a little kid, to have the entire collection. This is something that I pulled the trigger for as soon as it was released, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it. So it's probably my favorite part of the collection, I would say. Have you read Fire Punch? I have not. Original print of 1970s Cimmerillion. Sorry, I always have a hard time pronouncing that. From Tolkien. It's worth a lot of money, but not selling. Definitely not, man. Hold on to that. Yeah, Criterion is great. Started collecting them during the November sale. Yeah, I mean, they can be pricey, but a lot of times, I think like 2 or 3 times a year, they have a big sale where everything is 50% off. So if you hold out for those and you pick a few up, you can find some really good stuff. What is your favorite Christmas movie or one that you watch every year? So my favorite Christmas movie is Gremlins, if you count that. I don't know if you count Gremlins, but I do. Because like the whole movie takes place on Christmas. The whole movie gets started because Billy gets a Christmas gift from his dad. And like the whole movie is like just basking in like winter snow and Christmas lights and Christmas themed this and that. Like I consider Gremlins to be a Christmas movie. So to me, Gremlins is a Christmas movie, and it's my favorite. If I was to pick a non-horror related Christmas movie, I'd probably go with The Muppet Christmas Carol with Michael Caine. Yeah. Rush Hour is immortalized. I always wanted to find one of these artists at a Comic-Con to paint me a convincing depiction of Lee and Carter back to back at the eclipse. Hey, I mean, you could probably commission that. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of artists out there that would love something like that. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that do commissions that really want the people that ask them to do the commission to be more creative, you know? And I think something like that would be an artist's dream to create, you know what I mean? Just something different, something wacky, something that they don't get a lot of. So if you presented that to some artists out there, I think people would go for it. So you used to spend a lot of time playing video games. What games were your main squeeze? So like I said, my favorite franchises are Devil May Cry. That was kind of my bread and butter when I was younger. The first 3 Devil May Cry games on the PS2 era, I played endlessly, especially Devil May Cry 3. That's probably my favorite video game of all time. Also a big fan of God of War. The GTA games, particularly again from like the PS2 era, like San Andreas and Vice City are some of my favorites. Let's see, back in the like PS2 had a lot of like interesting one-off games. Like there was a Punisher game back then that was pretty awesome and something that they probably would not put out now. They did creative like spin-off games for movies. Like there was one called Enter the Matrix that like fit into continuity. They did a couple extra James Bond games with Pierce Bronson. Like a lot of games during that era were really interesting. But yeah, those were like some of my top favorites from back in the day. And then if you go back even further, I mean, like when I was a kid, like when I was a little kid playing like Super Nintendo and shit, I loved the game. It was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. It was Turtles in Time. I think it was the 4th one. It's like a side scroller beat 'em up. It is so much fun. I think it's probably the best side scroller of all time. I'm not even kidding. I think it probably is. It probably is the best side scroller of all time. At least a beat 'em up, not something like Mario, but like a beat 'em up, you know, style video game from the Super Nintendo days. Turtles in Time is the best. You have Mosasaur teeth, a marine reptile that lived during the age of the dinosaurs. Got it from a fossil shop, not physical media, but favorite possession. Also, I love my Lego Godzilla. Dude, you have dinosaur teeth in your house. That is badass, man. I want dinosaur teeth in my house. I don't have that, but I found a skull in my backyard of like I think it was a groundhog or something. It was weird. Not a full skull, but it was like the top of the skull and like the snout, and it still had the teeth on it. I thought it was pretty awesome, so I kept it and I put it on a little I put it on a little display thing outside. I don't know why. I just thought it was cool. Super chat, M. Davis. Thank you so much. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Check finally hit. I appreciate your willingness to answer all of our random as hell questions, dog. On that note, Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I love your random ass questions. In fact, the more random they are, the more that I enjoy them. There's only so many times you can answer, how do you think Berserk will end, right? But like, you give me a weird question like, what if you could teleport, but the drawback is that you shit your pants for 6 hours afterwards? Now, that's a fun question. So I like, the more random and batshit the question, the more I tend to enjoy it. But back in the day, I was a PlayStation guy. I pretty much went from Nintendo to Super Nintendo to N64. So as a little kid, I was a Nintendo person. But then when PlayStation came out, I was getting a little bit older, more curious about more mature games, I guess, and like Dino Crisis and shit like that. So I switched to PlayStation, and then I had PS1, PS2, PS3. I did have an Xbox 360 for a little bit, but I was never as much into Xbox as I was PlayStation. And then after PS3 was kind of like my last era until I started gaming on PC. So there was a big gap of time. Like between, I know this is weird to say, but like I gave up video games for a while because, well, one, I didn't have money for a system at the time. And then two, they were just like way too distracting because I get super invested. Like I'm not a completionist in the sense that like, I don't need to complete all the achievements, but like I need to beat the game. Like I need to beat the story. Like I have to, like if I start a game, I have to finish it. And I have this weird kind of compulsion to like invest a ridiculous amount of time into it. And that's why even now, days that I play video games are like days I specifically am like, okay, this day I'm going to dedicate like multiple hours to play something because like I just get way too invested. So like there's this weird time between like 2015 to 2000 like 21, 22, like this like 7-8 year gap of time where I didn't play video games at all. And I think a lot of that was just because, well, like I said, at the time I didn't have money for a system, but then also it was like I was trying really hard to build up the YouTube channel and I was trying to spend a lot of time, just like building myself up in general. It's like, I think that's when I started to go to the gym and take it like really, really seriously was around that time. So like, I just didn't play any video games really unless I went over to a friend's house or something or, something like that because I was just spending all of my time working full time and then working on YouTube. And I just didn't want any distractions. I didn't want anything that was going to take my focus away from making videos. So there's this huge gap of time where I didn't play any video games. And so now I've been playing again for like 3-4 years, but I'm still going back and trying to catch up on games that I missed. So I just played Doom 2016 for the first time, like a couple weeks ago, it's like, it came out like 9 years ago, but like, I didn't play it. Right. So like I'm trying to play through Doom. That's why I tried to play through all the Resident Evils. I'm trying to play through, the Batman Arkham games that I didn't get to. I was trying to play some of the newer, Tomb Raider games. Just trying to get to things that like, I missed during that time is basically what I've been trying to do. So like if I play older shit, it's mostly probably because I haven't played it before and I'm like just trying to get around to it. Do you live stream games? I have before. I don't particularly like to because I feel like when I play video games, I'm more like casual and relaxed. And so like I don't think I'm that entertaining at it. But I probably will stream more in the future, depending on what it is. Hope you read Fire Punch. It's on my list. I've been curious about it. Here you definitely was diehard Xbox because of Halo. Fair, absolutely fair. And because I just like the controller better by far. DualShock was a piece of crap in my opinion, all the way until PS5. Yeah, I think it was just because I got so used to PlayStation controls, and that's kind of one of the things I liked about them is that they kept things simple and the same, from console to console. So just going from like PS1 to PS2 to PS3, it was like I didn't need to relearn anything. It's just like it was just the same, so it was just comfortable. But funny enough, while gaming on PC, I mostly use an Xbox controller. So I've completely switched teams in a way. Yeah, Batman Arkham City is an absolute masterpiece. Oh yeah, man, yeah, definitely, man. The first two Arkham games are great. And then Origins was okay, and I still haven't played Knight, but I'll get to it. New Ninja Gaiden is fire. It looks pretty cool. I got curious about a couple of things. So I have a lot of stuff on my wish list. I was a little bit curious about Ghost of Tsushima. Is that how you pronounce it? Because I've seen some gameplay from it, and it looks pretty awesome. But I don't know. I haven't known anybody personally that has played it. So, but that's one of the ones I want to check out also. Oh, and I did start playing a little bit of Dead Space also. I know it's a lot of doom and gloom with Netflix right now buying WB. I think it'll be a big uphill battle for them. A lot of people in Hollywood are upset, and I think the story is far from over. Yeah, I mean, I ranted about that in like the first hour of the stream, so I don't want to touch on it too much anymore. But I will say that, yes, it's not set in stone right now, so there still is a potential that it won't go through, but it seems very unlikely that they'll be able to stop it at this point. Did you play Dead by Daylight? I actually haven't. No, that's actually one of the ones that I haven't played, shockingly enough. Because Xbox controller is superior. I mean, I guess I can't argue with it now since I technically have one like right next to me. Do you fuck with dinosaurs? The Isle is a fun game, but it definitely has a lot of problems, but it's a hidden gem. The Isle? I've never even heard of that. Interesting. Open world survival game. Hmm. I don't know. I've never heard of this before. I'll look into it. Thank you for the recommendation. I'll check it out. Yeah, obviously things are pretty dicey, but I want people to not give up and keep fighting for the art they believe in. I know. I mean, I was being really pessimistic earlier because that's just kind of where my headspace is at right now. But it just really feels like this is kind of the beginning of the end for like artistic integrity when it comes to movies, the theatrical run or for physical media. I'm pretty scared about what's going to happen to all of it. Ghost of Tsushima is a pretty fine series. When you say fine, do you mean like fine as in it's good or like, it's fine? I don't, it looks really good. It looked like something I would enjoy, but I've never played it. So I don't know anybody personally that's played it. So I don't have any like frame of reference really, but it looked like something I would enjoy. Yeah, Naruto, One Piece, or Bleach. Yeah, I mean, the only one of those that I've read any of is One Piece. But no, that's not true. I did read some Bleach. I did. But I haven't really gotten into any of them. But Bleach, I might watch the anime instead. Oh, did you hit the push-up? Oh, shit. Did I not? Okay, I got you, bro. Hang on. All right, 7 push-ups. Thank you, man. See, that's you guys gotta keep me accountable, man. You guys gotta make sure I do the push-ups. Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See? You guys gotta keep me accountable, man. You can't let me be missing push-ups like that. I get too distracted. I got too much shit going on. Did you ever play the 2008 Turok game? I don't think so. No, I played the original one on the on N64. That's the one I played. Ghost of Tsushima is everything Assassin's Creed Shadows wishes it could be. Definitely check it out. All right, that's fair. Yeah, I never really could get into Assassin's Creed very much. I don't know. There was just like there was some kind of disconnect for me, and I can't even put my finger on what it is. I just never really had as much fun with those games as I wanted to. I guess I like to cause more chaos, I guess, than it allows me to. Was obsessed with Disney Dinosaur as a kid. That movie rules. Yeah, I think I was more the Land Before Time kind of kid. They made a ridiculous amount of sequels to that movie, but the first couple were good. I remember like the first 2 or 3 were pretty great. Supreme Omega, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for the support, man. Thank you all for all the support over the years, man. Thank you. In older battle shonen adaptations, people complain about filler. Filler can be skipped. The real problem were censorship, padding, and flanderization. Ooh, you got a point there, my friend. Yeah, and, well, first of all, not all filler is created equal. Like, there are some filler that are great. Especially when it comes to older shonen like Dragon Ball, you know, like there's a lot of fantastic filler stuff in there. I don't think filler is automatically bad. Where I think filler is bad is when it takes up too much time. So like an episode of filler, 2 episodes of filler, that's fine. But an entire filler arc, like an entire like 20 episode saga of filler, that's when it starts to suck. But if it's just like a slice of life episode or like extra training episodes in the Saiyan arc or the Goku gets a driver's license episode, I like episodes like that. I enjoy that filler, okay? It's just when you get really long extended filler that it tries to do its own story arc and then also contradicts things that happen in the actual story that don't make sense. That's when it gets bad. But I don't think it's bad just inherently. I don't think filler existing is a bad thing, you know? But you're right. The real problem back then was a lot of censorship. Even though, you know, Japanese anime got away with a lot more on television than anything in America could, the American versions were censored way heavier, you know, if you look at the differences. But, they still did have a lot of censorship. Yeah, you're right. And that can definitely take away elements of the story. I know with things like Rurouni Kenshin, you know, I remember when I read the manga for the first time, I was younger, you know, but I was still kind of shocked at how much more violent it was than the anime, and the amount of censorship that had to happen. So yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And flanderization, I mean, that happens. That's not an anime specific thing. That happens in everything. You know, that can happen to any type of character. Anytime you give a character a specific quirk, there is always the risk that if the show runs too long, that it becomes over-reliant on that quirk, and then that is all the character is. And that's just something that tends to happen to characters over time, unfortunately. But thank you, man. Thank you for the support, and let me give you your 5 push-ups. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Oh yeah, still feeling the pump. Still feeling the pump. Uh, Assassin's Creed Ezio Trilogy was peak. If you were to try any, it should be those. I don't know which ones I played. I just remember having a hard time getting into them. I just didn't feel like as free to do the things that I wanted to do. Shin arc in the 1984 Fist of the North Star anime can be rough episodic start for first impression due to the padding and rearranging of the order of the arcs due to the Shin filler episodes. Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think the Fist of the North Star anime is very different than the manga for the most part. I still enjoy both, and to be fair, it's been a long time since I've seen the anime. But I definitely remember when I read the manga that there was like a significant amount of difference, especially when it came to the pacing. I think you could pull off the mutton chops, maybe. See, right now I'm preparing to look like Kratos. That's kind of the goal, but I guess I could always try to shoot for Wolverine. I'm more height accurate to Wolverine anyway, so could happen. Supreme Omega, thank you again for the super chat, brother. Appreciate it. On DBZ, on padding, when I first read the manga, it felt jarring how fast-paced it was because the padding and stretched-out fight scenes in the anime is anime exclusive. Yeah, I feel the same way. I think that they are both... I think that they're both great on their own. You know what I mean? Like, I love Toriyama's manga and the way that he does things when I'm reading manga. But when I'm watching the anime, I don't skip the filler. I like a lot of the Dragon Ball Z filler. Like I said, I love a lot of the training episodes. And I like kind of the lull in between like the action elements. Because sometimes in manga, it seems like, you know, sometimes they're fast tracking to get to the action. I kind of like little episodes where the characters just get to hang out for a little bit. Like, I like those episodes in between, like in between the Frieza arc and the android stuff. Like, I like the little Garlic Jr. segment, you know. I like the episodes where they're hanging out at Master Roshi's house with Marin, you know, and he's being a pervert. Like, I like the episodes where the characters are just kind of chilling for a little bit, with the Goku driving episode, like that kind of stuff. Like, I think those episodes, they help build character, number one, because you get to know the characters, you know, and their personal interactions a little bit more. Like, when things aren't cataclysmic, when it's not the end of the world and you get to see the characters just kind of like have conversations with each other, I kind of like that stuff, you know. So I don't skip it. I don't skip any of that filler. Maybe with other shows, like I heard, you know, the Bleach filler is pretty bad. I've heard the One Piece filler is bad, but I'm not as big on those shows as I am with Dragon Ball. But when it comes to Dragon Ball, I watch all the filler, man. I don't know. I kind of like all of it. Yeah, I hope Netflix doesn't fuck over the Monsterverse. Bro, the amount of franchises and IPs that are owned by WB and HBO are ridiculous. Like, there's going to be, like, Monsterverse is one thing. Obviously, there's, like, DC. There's the Harry Potter stuff. There's what they have under their horror movie brackets. Like, I think they'll technically own, like, Nightmare on Elm Street and, like, those franchises, too, which are probably going to go away forever. You know, they'll own so many. I think they'll own is the Mad Max series. I don't know. A ridiculous amount of franchises they'll own, and I'm just scared that a lot of them are going to be like pushed to the wayside as algorithms control everything that we watch, and a lot of films from history and from the past are just going to get erased and deleted just because they won't be presented to people to watch. They won't be listed as options. I fear that Netflix is going to cause physical media to go down and down to the point where it's almost non-existent, because even if they still own the property, physical media is in a way a competitor to streaming. And what I believe that they are doing is working towards controlling a monopoly on as many properties as possible and giving you only one source to watch it, which would be their streaming source. So they want to shorten the theatrical window shorter than it already is, to the point where I think that's just kind of a ploy to get them to not have a theatrical window whatsoever and just release movies on streaming. And they're probably going to get rid of printing physical media. That'll save them a lot of money in the meantime, and they can just jack up prices on the streaming service and say, well, that's your only way to watch this, so guess you have to subscribe. Yeah, it's going to suck. It's really going to suck. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't really like Super's art style. It looks too polished and shiny. Prefer the Super Broly art style more than the Super art style, but I understand that version is used, that the version that's used for Super Broly takes a lot of time. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong, but but I agree with you. I never liked Super's animation. I always felt it. I felt like there were certain episodes that looked really good, but a lot of it felt very stunted and weird, and I just gravitated a lot more towards a more old school style of anime. Like, I love the look of 80s and 90s anime, and I think Dragon Ball Z, like, look, Dragon Ball Z definitely cut corners at times. You know, there were many times where it was just a static image, or, just repeating the same movements over and over, but it still ends up looking better than Super ever did, in my opinion. And I think a lot of that has to just do with the art style, just the way, the aesthetic of the series, the way the characters were drawn. I don't know. It was just better back then. Yeah, Bleach filler arcs were extremely intrusive. They'll pop in randomly in canon arcs and overstay their welcome. Yeah, that's the bad way to do it. Like, there's good ways and bad ways to add in filler. Miss when Netflix would let you rent DVDs. I mean, I miss when you could just get a DVD, where you could just go rent one in a store. You know? I miss having a good Friday night where you go out to Blockbuster or, whatever video rental stores in your town, and you could walk through the aisles and you could hold things in your hand physically, and you could just rent movies. Also, renting movies on streaming services is so goddamn ridiculous. Like, what do you mean it's $20 to rent something? Like, that makes no goddamn sense to me. Like, you used to be able to go to a video store and rent a movie for $10 and you got to keep it the entire weekend physically. Now it's like you can rent a movie on Amazon for $20 and you can only watch it once. You got 24 hours to watch it as soon as you start it. It's like, what the fuck? How is this even like, the subscription to Amazon Prime is cheaper than it is to rent a movie on Amazon Prime. It makes no sense to me. Movie rentals should not be more than like $5, like tops. When you're streaming it, when you're streaming a rental, it shouldn't be more than like $5, especially if you only have a day to watch it. It's more expensive to rent a movie on a streaming service than it is to go to the theater and watch a movie. Insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah, I don't have much faith in Netflix either. Yeah, definitely not. Super relies on highlights and shading, which affects the hair and skin tone, makes the skin look too gleamy in the body spray, and like body spray tans. Their hairline is also three-dimensional, hence the white glares. Well, there you go. There's a solid artistic explanation of it. Like, that's something like I can recognize, but I can't put into words. But yeah, like the shiny, glossy look to it just turns me off completely. And the characters are all weirdly skinny. Like in Dragon Ball Z, everybody is jacked and like super muscular, but in Super, unless they're specifically powering up, it's like everyone is like really scrawny for some reason. Like Trunks looks puny. Why? Why does Trunks look so puny? Blu-rays unfortunately cost up to $40 or more. $40. I mean, you can get Blu-rays cheaper. I mean, I guess it depends on where you live and like currency, I guess, but yeah, I mean, it depends. Like I try to go for sales, you know, when I see them, and like I said, like if you have the means now, like if I had more like disposable funds, like I would pick up every movie that I want in my collection now, because I'm just terrified about where physical media is going to go in like the next 5 to 10 years. Like I really do think it's going to be fizzled out almost completely. The Cowboy Bebop adaptation in particular was a goddamn dog turd, and the final nail in the coffin for ever checking out live action anime adaptation. Yeah, that one definitely bummed me out hardcore, because while the Cowboy Bebop live action was being made, I was hoping it was going to be good, like so badly I wanted it to be good. I was following the production of it. I liked the trail, like the first trailer they put out. I think I liked. I like John Cho as an actor. Like I wanted it to be good, but it was just devastatingly terrible. Just absolutely devastatingly terrible. Ryan, you were right. Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust is a fucking masterpiece. Hell yeah, it is. Hell yeah. Why are you watching it right now? Did you all of a sudden, did you just turn it on? That's awesome. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. I even put it in my top 10 vampire movies of all time. Like I legitimately think it stacks up with some of the best. I'm probably gonna wrap up the stream here soon. Probably in like the next 10 minutes or so. Do you like Silent Hill? And if so, are you excited for the new movie coming out? I haven't really gotten into Silent Hill. A lot of people are telling me to and asking me to, and I want to. I only know a little bit about it just from, you know, being on the internet, I guess. But I haven't really gotten into it too much so far, but I want to. Fear that classic movies and older films will be phased out. Yep. From streaming because Netflix doesn't have many older movies. Neither does Hulu. I fear for the Kurosawa films being unstreamable. That was exactly my point earlier in the stream, where I was saying that, you know, one of the major differences between my generation and the generation under me is that our access to older films is completely different, because you know, my generation pretty much grew up on TV and cable, and you would watch what was on, and that led you to discover things that maybe you wouldn't normally. Like you'd be flipping through the channels, and since they'd be playing older movies and older TV shows, you would catch these older things and, you know, just be curious about what they are. And nowadays with streaming and algorithms, you're only shown what's similar to what you've already watched or what's popular. You're not really given access to older films in the way that we were. Like we had video stores and we had cable and we had, you know, movie marathons on TV. We had like the Twilight Zone New Year's Eve marathon. We had all of these things that would show us older media, right? But the generation now that's growing up with just streaming, they don't have that. So they have to seek it out themselves. And if they don't know about it, if they're not aware of it, if the streaming services are not pushing it, but even further than that, if the streaming services don't even have it because they deem it not worthy enough for people to watch, people are never going to be able to discover these movies. So like you said, like the old Kurosawa films, like I know HBO Max has some of those on there right now. Like I know they have Seven Samurai, I'm pretty sure. They might have Yojimbo on there. I forget which ones they have, but like, that might all disappear if Netflix gains this total monopoly over everything, right? Because they're only going to promote what's popular. And if a streaming service has access to something, then they can just take it off whenever they want to. If they own it, they can choose whether or not to have it on their streaming service. So if they feel like it's just clutter, they can get rid of it. And if there's no alternate source to find it, if it's only available from one company, and if there's no physical media, then you're never going to be able to watch that movie again unless you pirate it. So what do we do? What do you do in that case? And once again, like I find it very disappointing that a lot of younger people just are not interested in checking out older movies. Like there's so many people that won't watch things if they're black and white. And I've recently heard that, part of the younger generation doesn't even like watching movies that were shot on film. Like they don't like the film grain look to it. They think it looks old, so they don't want to watch it, which is just like, I can't even comprehend that. Because to me, like all of it's valid, like whether it's on film or digital or black and white or whatever, like, we have 100 years of movie history and there's great stuff from every decade. Going back to the 1930s, there's great stuff. 1920 silent films. I understand silent films are going to be harder to get into. They're even hard for me to watch sometimes. You know what I mean? Like got to be in the right mood. But what I'm saying is we have 100 years of film history, and there's a lot of people that never will see those older movies. We don't have video stores. We don't have cable. If streaming gets it and takes it off, we don't have physical media. Like, what are we going to do? Like, how are people going to watch it? How are we going to preserve film? So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what it'll become. But I'm just not looking forward to it. Yeah, that's why word of mouth is more important than ever. People need to talk about older movies, spread the word, get people interested, looking it up. Yeah, exactly. And that's part of what I try to do on the channel too. I try to talk about the things that I like part of the fun of doing the retrospectives and part of the fun of doing doing the Christmas horror movie weeks and whatever is to like get these films and talk about them. That might not be the most popular movies, but there's something that I'm just interested in at the time and want to talk about. So, that's part of the reason why I like talking about older movies also on the channel, is just to get it out there, to get maybe people curious or interested. Yeah, I feel like stuff like Godzilla and Batman will still be available because they have franchise pull. Other films I worry for. Yeah, what you need to worry about are the people that are trying hard to make like their passionate film project. Like big IPs like that, like Batman's never going to go away. Godzilla's never really going to go away. And even if it did, Toho owns Godzilla. You know what I mean? Like they're never going to have a problem releasing movies in Japan. Like the Monsterverse may be in trouble, like the legendary Godzilla films, but like Toho, I mean that's the real Godzilla. That's never going away, but those won't be the problem. The problem will be older movies and independent films. That'll be the problem. Yeah, people that didn't grow up with movie hosts like Spenguli and Joe Bob Briggs. Yeah, exactly, man, exactly. I never actually watched a lot of Joe Bob. Like, I was aware of Joe Bob when I was younger, but I wasn't as invested. Like, I feel like I missed out on the Joe Bob era a little bit. Like, I remember it. Like, I remember it being a thing. But when he kind of came back and he did the new At the Drive-In series or whatever, I didn't have like the same nostalgic pull, and I wish I did. Like I'm a fan of like James Rolfe Cinemassacre, or at least like the older stuff on the channel, and he was always talking about Joe Bob Briggs, and I always feel like, man, I wish I would have. I think I might have been a little bit too young too. I think I can't remember the years that Joe Bob was on the air, but I think like I liked the movies, but I didn't get as invested in the host. I think I might have been a little too young, but I still remember it, and I still respect that era of just having a host in general. Even when I was talking about Toonami, even though it was like a robot like animated host, the idea of a block of shows or a block of movies that would have a host that was kind of like being part of the experience with you. That was like a special thing that you're not going to get with streaming services, you know? Yeah, why wouldn't people want to watch a film just because it's old? I mean, that's my thing, because I've never had that issue. I've always been interested in movies from all generations. Like I've never once had an issue with watching with something because it's old. Like that's never been something that's really crossed my mind. Like I recontextualize things when I watch older stuff, because I realize that, like, Bela Lugosi Dracula is not scary in 2025. But when I watch it, I try to think about what it would have been like in 1931. Like I try to imagine a world where it would be scary, and I can enjoy it by putting myself into that headspace. And I think maybe, I don't know for sure, but I think maybe the problem people have watching older things is that they have a hard time contextualizing the time period. Like they have a hard time, like I think they're trying to compare it way too much with modern things and modern sensibilities, rather than enjoying a piece of art from that time period, understanding it's a product of that time. You know what I mean? But I've never really had an issue doing that. Like I recognize that, this was made in the 30s. This was made this was what was going on in the world at that time. These were, like movies that came out like post World War II. You know what I mean? Like you understand the type of movies that came out based upon what was happening in the world at the time, right? And the same thing is true. Same thing is going to be true now, and the same thing was true in like the 2000s, like post 9/11. Like movies have like a contextualized place in time. You know what I mean? And you have to like keep that in mind when you're watching them. And I think maybe like the newer generation just has a hard time putting themselves in a headspace where they can enjoy something from the past. That's my theory anyway. Are you going to review Terrifier 3 for December? No, because technically I reviewed it last year. I didn't do it in like an edited format. I reviewed it when it was new, when it came out in theaters. So I feel like it's too soon. So if I continue doing the December horror movie reviews, maybe at some point in the future, I'll revisit Terrifier 3 and do like a new updated review of it. But I feel like it's too soon because I just reviewed it last year when it came out. When's the next horror series review? I mean, next retrospective, I mean, that'll be a while and it'll be Godzilla. But right now I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing my December Christmas horror movies. So every week in December, I'm reviewing a new Christmas horror movie. So I did Silent Night, Deadly Night. And so you'll get 3 more every week in December. I'm going to be doing a Christmas horror movie review. I'm 20 and like watching older things. Good, man. Yeah, keep it alive. Keep it alive. There was a show called Final Space that is now unavailable even to the creator because it got slashed. Infinity Train was a show people were mad got canned. I don't know that situation, but I mean things like that happen. Like look at what happened to like that Batgirl movie. Like they filmed a whole movie. Brendan Fraser was going to be the villain, and they scrapped it just for a tax write-off. So it's like people put their heart and soul and passion, and somebody like had jobs, worked hard, and the studio can just be like, nah, this is terrible, man. Even if the movie sucked, you should still put it out. you know, people worked on it. Most of my favorite shows are 20 plus years ago. I mean, a lot of mine are now too at this point. Well, I mean, I think I have a good variety, but yeah. A lot of my favorites are getting pretty old at this point. Honestly, Ryan, even if your YouTube career ends one day, at least you'll have the closure of knowing you tried your best and have your all. Hey, and that's what I've always said, man. It's not like I didn't work hard, I guess, you know. I'll always have that at least, no matter what. And you guys know that. Hopefully you know that. But you know, I'm always trying to do the absolute best with what I can. And I know it's not nearly as good as a lot of other stuff out there, and I'm not very smart and I'm limited in my resources, but I do try hard. I do. Rocky starting in the 70s is one of my favorite franchises. Yeah, and you know, actually, I'm gonna do a review series for Rocky. I think very, very soon, much sooner than later. Much sooner than later, we're gonna have a Rocky week on the channel, because we need to start our winter arc. You know, like, yes, you know, I've been at the gym, I've been training, but I think the winter arc is a special time, right? And I think January, like after the holidays, after all the bad food and the Christmas cookies or whatever, we got to start hard in 2026. So I think the winter arc is going to start, and to commemorate that, I think we're going to talk about the Rocky movies, because if there's any movie, series, franchise that can motivate you to get off your ass, go for a jog, start training, it's the Rocky series. And if there's any time to review the Rocky series, it's during the winter arc. So I think January or February, we're going to be talking about Rocky on the channel. Did you ever get into The Expanse? I have not seen it, no. If you could prevent one specific character in Berserk from dying, who would it be? Casca. They spent $93 million on Batgirl. Yeah, and they just wrote it off. That's crazy. That's nuts. Can you do the Godzilla dance, please? Somebody send in $5. I'll do the Godzilla dance. Send in $1. I'll do it. $1. Also, do you own an air fryer? I do not. So I'm not very good at cooking, and I cook the most basic shit imaginable. Like, I literally just cook like beef, chicken, eggs, like simple like gym bro shit. And then on the weekends, I usually have, you know, whatever I want, like you know, pizza or fast food or, you know, frozen chicken or something. Like I have a very simple, basic diet. But luckily, the girl I'm dating now likes to cook, and she's pretty damn good at it. So she's not over here all the time, but when she is, she cooks me stuff, and it's awesome, and I deeply appreciate it. Bruce Wayne sends in the $1. All right, so instead of doing the push-ups for the $1, I'll do the Godzilla dance. Hang on. All right, here we go. All right, I want to get it right. So I'm watching it. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, I got it. Hang on. All right, here we go. Ready? Okay. All right, here we go. I'm ready. Hang on. Okay. Okay. All right. There we go. Godzilla dance. It's actually harder than it looks. You gotta get that leg up. You gotta get the hand to match. You gotta do like a. You gotta get like the leg hand ratio going on. You gotta do something like that. But definitely doable. And not the worst dance I've done on here. Somebody made me do the Chica dance once, which I didn't know any of the moves. I had to look it up. All right. So glad I was awake for this. Nice Godzilla Vance. Thank you. Thank you. Want my dollar back? What? Come on, that's money well spent. What are you talking about? And it wasn't even $1. It was 99 cents. Come on, man. That's a discount. That's a discount deal. Listen, the things I do for you guys, I'll tell you. Don't ever say I never did anything for you. It's definitely money spent. Careful, Toho might send Assassin since you could hear his roar on the stream. Oh, yeah, I know. I'm probably going to get a copyright notification as soon as the stream is over. Don't get me wrong. If I don't get one for the music in the background, I'll get one for the Godzilla sound effect. Sometimes you do the Godzilla dance and your cats look at me weird. Yeah, well, you know, I tended to do a lot of weird things in front of my cat, and he always gave me a very judgmental look. But, you know, I think deep down he understood I was just a weird guy. So I think your cat will understand too. Yeah, you summon the Toho Death Squad. I'm gonna summon them when I try to make my Godzilla video, because I have no idea how I'm gonna get around Toho's copyright on Godzilla. The Godzilla retrospective honestly might mostly have to be still frames, unfortunately. I'm gonna try to work around it, but the thing is, like, I don't want to have to re-edit it like 6 times. So I'm gonna try a version of it, and if it doesn't go through, I'm gonna basically make 2 versions. I'm gonna have one with video clips and one with all still frames. And if the video clip one doesn't work, I'm just going to say fuck it and upload the still frame one. I think that's really the only way I can do it. Because I don't want to sit there and have to re-edit like over and over and over again. And because that video is going to be long. Like that video, if we're talking, if I do the whole Showa era, you know, that's 15 movies. That'll be the longest one I think I've done. Because I think Halloween had 13 movies. But I was very quick. Like that was my first retrospective, so I went through it very quick. So I imagine it's probably going to be like bare minimum like 6 hours. And I'm not going to re-edit that over and over again. So I'm just going to try it with video clips, and then if it gets fucked, then I'm just going to do still frames and call it a day and say sorry guys. That's why I donate to you. I know they'd be hitting you with the copyrights like it's going out of style. Dude, tell me about it, man. I think they do pick favorites to a degree, because I see very successful channels being able to get away with a lot more than I get away with. But hey, that's another story. What's the most disturbing, scary anime / manga you've ever watched or read? I mean, a lot of them have disturbing moments in them. Like Gantz has a lot of disturbing moments. Um, there was one I was talking about earlier called Starving Anonymous. And basically, this guy gets abducted and he's in this underground facility where they're like fattening humans up to feed them to giant alien creatures. It's got a lot of like weird, fucked up imagery in it. But yeah, guys, I'm probably going to wrap up the stream now. So just send in any final questions, comments, concerns, whatever, and then I'll run through it in like the next minute or so, and then we'll peace out. Looking forward to the Godzilla retrospective. Thank you, man. I haven't even started. Like, don't look for it soon. I probably won't start work on it until like February. But that'll be the retrospective for next year. Did you watch Pluribus 6 yet? I did. I recorded my review. It'll be out tomorrow. Just in short, love the episode. Really want to see more of the guy from Paraguay. And then, is Godzilla considered a hero? I think it depends on the movie. That's one of the great things about Godzilla is that the franchise is so versatile. Like, there's some movies where he's clearly the villain. There's some where he's neutral. He's just a force of nature. And there's others where he is legitimately portrayed as a hero. So I think it just depends on the movie. Godzilla's my hero, if that counts for anything. Have mercy on Vlogs. He's always asleep by the time the stream starts. I know, man. Time zones are a bitch. It's true. Is what Skull Knight says to Guts, struggle, endure, contend meaningful to you? Absolutely, man. It's probably one of the more meaningful phrases throughout the entire franchise to me. Friday night streams are a tradition for me. Got a big day coming up tomorrow. Might see this girl I've been digging, so wish me luck. Hey, good luck, my friend. Good luck, my friend. You got this. Just be cool, be confident. You got it. And then, why'd you buzz your hair? Because I'm trying to reveal my inner Kratos. You know, trying to get my Kratos on. This is my impression. Boy. Yeah, so I'm working on it. Trying to be Kratos. I don't know. Because sometimes I do. Sometimes I shave my head. Anyways, with that, that'll be it. Thank you guys for being here, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for listening to me rant and rave. I don't know why anybody would want to, but I thank you that you do. There's many other people you could watch or spend your time hanging out with. So the fact that you choose me means a lot. So I appreciate it. A special shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you to everyone that donated. Supreme Omega, M. Davis, MD Negative, 120, 1994. Thank you. Devious Minds, Too Vivid, Dylan, Bruce Wayne, Hitman. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. NHLC, thank you very much. Thank you guys so much for the support tonight. Special shout out to Dylan Smith. Very generous donation tonight. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Stay safe, stay hydrated, get some sleep, and I'll talk to you guys